Still a couple minutes early. Oh, yeah. N8N, yes. N8N is a great tool, yes. Cool.
Yeah, Dustin, those workflows can get pretty intense.
15-day LTV rule, yep. 100%. Cool, guys. Who is excited to learn some outreach and some sales? Because without those, you ain't automating anything for any business. So today's going to be, biased opinion, the best day yet. Hopefully you guys will agree.
Hopefully everybody pays attention.
Yeah, it's going to be a long one. So strap in, get a cup of coffee ready, get everything prepared.
We've worked with 1,000+ people at this point, and I've never seen one person who's good at outreach and sales not make a lot of money. Pretty straightforward. What's good, Ruhan? Am I saying that correct? Buckle up, Buttercup. Where's everyone from? Want to see where we got people calling in from here. Me and Christian are in Tampa, Tokyo. That's awesome. I've heard such good things about Tokyo. Portugal, St. Pete, Dubai, Toronto, France, Texas, Panama, Louisville.
St. Louis, Ethiopia. Wow, it's pretty cool.
It's insane. Quebec. We got a Christian from Quebec.
Hey, I'm French Canadian, Quebec, and my name's also Christian. So shout out to you.
Best buds.
I don't speak a lick of French, but it's in my blood.
As soon as he said something in French, like, I'm opting out here.
Yeah, I'm out. You got that one. Cool, guys. We'll give it a couple more minutes. We're still early. 42 of you showed up here early, so shout out to you for being here before we're supposed to even start. But yeah, like I said, if you're just jumping in, first half is going to be how to sign clients, how to generate leads. Well, I should say just how to generate the leads with AI and outreach and Dream 100. Part 2 is going to be Dan teaching you how to close deals once you generate those leads and book the calls from what I teach you. So by the end of today's session, you'll have a blueprint for generating leads, how to create Dream 100 docs with Manus, how to close deals with Dan's help. So this will be a very, very valuable couple hours for you guys. The replays,
this is gonna be a longer one.
Yeah.
Replay should be available forever, right?
Yeah, replays are indefinite. So you'll have those for as long as you want. How many clients? All right, we'll get into the technical questions in a bit, Darren. Yes, we'll have Q&A.
Also, just quick PSA for you guys. I'm sure you heard this on the other ones. Try to address all of your questions in the actual Q&A section there. I see Maddie already did that.
Probably not actually French, but that's okay. Canadians are cooler than French people. Okay. 2 minutes. Still letting people jump in. I don't want to kick anything off until we're at least 2 minutes past 5 p.m. Eastern, just to be fair for everyone else. Let's get these numbers up. 61. Let's get 200. They should be pouring in now that we're almost at 5. Cool.
Marcin, one of the early YouTube followers. Appreciate you, brother.
Damn, that's an OG right there. That's a day one listener on
Day one.
Fragile's a hat brand that I like to wear. It's a good hat. Who else? Okay. Cool. All right. Drop the number one thing that you want to learn on today's call. What's the number one thing you're hoping to get out of today so we can keep those things in mind as we present and give you training? Lead gen, 100% close rate, Dream 100, close sales, getting more calls. Okay. Yes. Good. Very nice. What's working in today's market? Creating a Dream 100 outreach. Good. Dream 100. Nice. Okay. Sweet. Nice. Yep. Perfect. Basically exactly what we'll be going over throughout today's call. It's now 5. I'm going to give it 2 minutes just to let people straggle in late, and then we'll kick it off. This is definitely a longer one. So strap in, guys. Get that DoorDash order made. Get that coffee. Get that coffee ready. Put in a Neural Mint if you have any. I'll actually put a Neural Mint in myself. Caffeine mints. Highly recommend.
Let's go. Joseph's got to pull it on the way. Guys, this is the life force of the business, lead gen and sales. So I'm pumped up for it. It's where all the wins
118. Let's get up to 200, can we? Why not? Let's pack this out. Okay. Are we going to have landing page and contract templates? Honestly, as a part of this, I don't believe so, but more info on tomorrow's presentation around how we can help you structure everything. But, okay. Can you guys see this? Drop a 1. Thumbs up, W. Boom. Okay, great. Okay, great. All right, guys, I'm going to give it like 60 more seconds, then we're going to kick it off. Going over my portion of the presentation, how to sign clients with AI outreach, Dream 100, and cold email. It's going to be a good one. Strap in. We're like kick streamers. Okay. I don't know if that's a compliment, but thanks. Yeah, you will be able to literally start conducting outreach as soon as this call ends, which is the good part. But okay, 502. Let's get into it. So on today's first half of the presentation, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to sign clients with Dream 100 Outreach, cold email and Dream 100 using AI, starting off with creating winning offers and lead magnets, going into using AI to create personalized AI outreach messages at scale, using AI to find people to reach out to along with social media. Let me keep the chat open because I want to hear what you guys are saying. How to create a really good Loom pitch, how to create a Dream 100 doc, how to do all this at scale with cold email. It's just going to be a bunch of outreach information and value. It's going to be very interactive. I'm going to give you guys a Manus template. Wow, voice crack. A Manus template that you can use to write the messages and create the Dream 100 deliverables. Yes, you can send a Loom with the Dream 100 deliverable if you wish, but let's dive in. So real quick, pulse check, roll call. Based on Daniel's Monday presentation, who here has a general idea of what you want to sell? Like what offer you want to use? Is it content? Is it email marketing, cold outreach, funnels, ads, VSL funnel, YouTube content, VSL, funnels? Okay, if you already have an existing business that you're using this challenge to amplify, that's completely fine. But if you're using this challenge to come up with a service, that's good too. So the entire foundation of this entire first half of the call, I don't want to say entire thing because Dan comes in, but I wanted to preface this entire thing with what I like to call the 3 offer level framework. Every single offer on the planet falls into one of 3 levels, right? Level 1 is a service that prospects actively know that they need, something like podcast placement, speaking engagements, YouTube editing and TikTok content used to be level 1. They're moving more towards level 2. Basically, if you have a level 1 service, you can get away with pitching a call right in the message and people will take you up on it because it's such a new, novel, unique service, right? But most of you here are going to fall into levels 2 and 3, where level 2 prospects know that they need what you're selling, but they don't know why they need yours because they're actively being pitched by 10 other people with the same service. Good examples of this: email marketing, social media management, ghostwriting, CRO, ad creatives. In level 2, you're going to need to conduct some sort of asset journey for this person with a Dream 100 document, a guarantee, some kind of risk reversal, a free trial, something of that nature to get people to say, yes, I'll give you a shot over everyone else that's reaching out to me. And then level 3, prospects actively think that they don't need this. Something like web design, Facebook ads, SEO, branding. They're like, I have this covered. I don't need a new website. I don't have the budget for this. So what do you do if you have a level 3 service? You have to show people what they're missing. And this is where you're really going to want to dive into Dream 100 documents, upfront work, showing people why you are competent enough to help them with this thing that they don't think they need. So I really want you guys to comprehend where you fall into this 3-level, breakdown. It's probably level 2 or level 3, because you're going to have to lean into the fact that you need to create Dream 100 assets for people to get them on the phone. Gone are the days of messaging somebody and just saying, hey, I can run your YouTube. You want to hop on a call? Like, nobody really responds to that anymore. You need to offer a video pitch, a sales asset, something tangible that can get people interested in what you're selling. So like I said, level 1 prospects know that they need what you're selling. Placement, speaking engagements, book publishing, you can go straight for a call. Level 2, prospects need what you're selling, but they don't know why they need yours because they're getting pitched from a bunch of different angles. Ad creatives, Klaviyo, email marketing, social media management. Prospects are getting pitched these things daily in their email and their DMs. So to get over this, you have to add guarantees, do upfront work, reduce the risk by offering like 10 calls or you don't pay, 10K followers or you don't pay, something like that, a guarantee. Down here in level 3, prospects actively think that they don't need what you're selling: web design, Facebook ads, SEO, cybersecurity, etc. Prospects are being pitched this and they think that they don't even need it in the first place. So you really have to go value-based Dream 100 deliverables to prove yourself. The biggest differentiator here, if you lean more towards level 3, you need to pitch, like I said, a lead magnet. If you're closer to level 1, you can use more direct response, book a call right away. So to kick things off, drop a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat with where you think you fall into this offer breakdown. VSL funnels are probably level 2 because everyone, like, a VSL funnel is an asset that every business owner knows they need. It's not like a website where, a construction guy does. He's like, I've had a website since 1998. I don't need a new one, right? So 2. Okay, great. You guys are all in the train of thought that you need to have some sort of free value before you get them on a sales call. Great. Now, based on what level you fall into, let's start off with crafting a no-brainer offer, right? Here are 3 examples of offers falling into each level. Level 1, we can get you on 15 podcasts a month in your niche, establishing you as an authority and attracting warm leads. This is direct response. You're just saying what you do and people are naturally interested. It's like the hot girl offer on the block. People just want it. You don't have to do much convincing, right? Level 2, so the further you go down from level 1, the more sales asset deliverable based you want to make your offer. Like level 2, I opted into your email list and I noticed a few things with your welcome email that are costing you sales of your hat that you sell on your site. I put together a quick video breaking down the causes and how to fix them. Mind if I share it, right? You'll notice here that I'm not even really saying what I offer, email marketing. I'm just saying, hey, I put together a video going over a few things with your welcome email that are hurting your conversions. And that is my offer, right? I'm not offering email marketing. I'm offering an audit of your email flow. If we move down to level 3, we're not even offering an audit. We're offering a free piece of value. Hey, I put together a landing page template in Figma to show you what I can do. Your case studies and testimonials are all included. Do you want to check it out, right? Hey, I put together a batch of 5 UGC meta ads for you to set up in an ad set. Your products and testimonials are all included. Mind if I share the creatives? You guys see how the further you move towards level 3, the more your offer on the front end is just turning into a deliverable rather than the actual service. Key thing to understand as we move through this presentation, right? Something else to be aware of is something I like to call offer anchoring, where if you want your offer to convert over cold outreach, You need to anchor it to something tangible and easy to visualize. Here's an example. We can handle your email marketing. That's not an offer that anyone wants. Nobody's going to open a cold DM and say, oh my God, this guy can handle my email marketing. I'm sold. I'm going to give him my check or my credit card information, right? This isn't anchored to anything of substance. You're just saying what you do. I'm an email marketer. Okay, who cares, right? On the other hand, hey, we can add 15 sales calls to your calendar each month by managing your email list. This is anchored to the benefit of 15 calls. Hey, I put together a welcome email series for ListKit, the software company that we also run, that can book 15 calls from your existing contact list. This is anchored to the lead magnet of the welcome series and the benefit of 15 sales calls. Hey, we can manage your email list and add 30 calls to your calendar, just like we did for Daniel Fazio. This is anchored to the case study that I did for Daniel, or the work I did for Daniel, and the 30 sales calls, right? So when you come up with your offer, your front-end offer lead magnet, you want to make it anchored to something tangible, like a sales asset or a case study, or the benefit of 15 calls. And you want to make sure that you're, coinciding with which offer level you fall into. So real quick, craft your no-brainer front-end lead magnet. I want everyone here to come up with some sort of front-end lead magnet. Maybe it's a swipe file of emails. Maybe it's a sample cold email script, a sample ad, a sample landing page, a sample VSL script, a sample YouTube script. Type it in the chat when you're done. I want to hear what you guys have in mind for your no-brainer lead magnet. A YouTube script, good. Anthony, what do you mean by calculator? I would elaborate on that a little bit. A YouTube script, a sample email sequence, 3 LinkedIn posts, free lead list, 7 days of social media posts, sample VSL, good, good, good. Okay, awesome. You guys got the hang of this perfectly. Maddie, people don't really pay for YouTube scripts. They pay for full YouTube management. So scripting, editing, posting, ideation, thumbnail. The script is just the front-end lead magnet. So that's a perfect example. Maddie's like, I'm baffled people pay for YouTube scripts. The YouTube script is your front-end lead magnet. This is not what you sell to the person at the end. You get them interested with the YouTube script. Then using Dan's training after mine, you learn how to sell them on a full YouTube management where you do like the entire process for them, right? That's the big difference between a front-end lead magnet and an actual offer, right? Demo of a chatbot, good. Branded podcast interview content, good. A personalized plan showing you how you would get them 5 clients in 60 days, good, good. A free GPT, yeah, I would say like a free N8N flow that automates your call reviews, or like, Steven, make sure that the GPT is tied to something perfect. Exactly what I was saying about offer anchoring. Make sure that you're anchoring the free GPT to something tangible. Hey, we can automate your entire sales KPI tracking with an N8N flow, right? Great. So good examples for ListKit. We run a B2B software company called ListKit. Here are a bunch of no-brainer lead magnets that I've tested and that I would consider testing in the future. A swipe file of 30 successful cold email angles. This actually worked as a low-ticket funnel over ads. 10K cold emails per day case study video. This was also an asset that we did. Free verification of any email list, a sample cold email script, a video demo of the ListKit platform, 50 free leads, 50 phone numbers, right? These are all front-end lead magnets that we've offered in the past, and they've all converted relatively well. So I want you guys to get in the train of thought of creating good offers and identifying good offers on the fly so that you have this skill set and you're not leaning on Manus or AI to do it for you, right? So here are 4 offers laid out in front of me. Number 1, we can manage your YouTube channel. You'll get 1 new video posted a week. Number 2, we can grow your YouTube to 10K subs with our organic growth system. You just have to record the videos. Number 3, would you be interested in a free YouTube video for your channel? I'll handle everything at no cost. And number 4, I put together a sample YouTube script for you, the 5 best cold email scripts of all time based on your LinkedIn post. Based on my research, I'm confident you'll be able to get 20K views. I want you guys to drop a 1, 2, 3, or a 4. Which offer in front of me is the best for cold outreach based on what I'm offering, how specific it is. Okay, we're getting a lot of 2s and 4s. 4, 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4. Okay, so the correct answer is 4. Reason being is because I'm offering a lead magnet, a sample YouTube script. And it's not just a lead magnet that I'm blasting out to everybody. I'm personalizing it based on the prospect, the 5 best cold email scripts of all time. This is a sample YouTube script that I would pitch to a cold email agency to get them interested in what I'm selling in the YouTube space. Based on my research, I'm confident you'll be able to get 20K views on this. So just to help you guys kind of understand what a good offer looks like on the front end. Sample lead magnet with context to what they're selling. This is a cold email agency in this instance. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys, right? And just to show you what this looks like in practice, when we first launched ListKit as a software, I spent weeks coming up with a good lead magnet for our outbound strategy. I tried a free trial, I tried a Loom pitch, all kinds of stuff. And then I realized, why don't I just make 50 leads from our database the lead magnet? And this is the entire outreach script that we used and still use in our emails. Hey, I prepared a list of 50 leads from our database using the examples on your site as a guide. Would you like me to share the list, right? This 2-sentence email gets me responses like this. Can you give me some info on pricing? Good morning. Can you send over a calendar link? Can you provide me more info, right? When we launched this software 2 years ago, there were almost 1,200 replies to my cold email campaign asking for 50 leads. That's like the spreadsheet number down to 1,197. We did the same thing for our phone numbers, and we got almost 400 people interested in our phone number data. And we've had more than 1,000 opt-ins to our website with the 50 free leads lead magnet as the value proposition, right? These are from SEO, but we've literally generated, what's this? 1,500, 2,500 leads for our software just by pitching the lead magnet of 50 free leads. By 50 free leads, I just mean 50 contacts from the ListKit database. But the whole point of what I'm trying to show you guys here is with the right lead magnet, you can literally kickstart a business from an idea to an actual revenue generating business just by having the right lead magnet in place. So now that you guys have your lead magnet, thought up, you have your offer ready to go. How do you actually use Dream 100 outreach to get people to say yes to whatever asset you're pitching them, right? So here's how you write really good DMs to get people to say, yes, I would like to see the asset that you prepared for me to get, my foot in the door to get them on a sales call. So if you take literally, well, this used to take a long time before Manus and AI became a thing. If you take a minute to personalize your outreach, you will stand out in the DMs and over email immediately, because this is what my DM inbox looks like. Can I tell you something? Can I ask you something? There's like no personalization in any of the DMs that I grabbed from a quick screenshot at all. If this preview text said, Christian, your recent post about the Loom video cold email strategy is genius, I would have opened that DM and taken a look at what they said, right? If you take even 30 seconds to personalize your Dream 100 outreach, you will get responses, right? Here's the best cold DM I've ever got. I had a link in my bio that was like a link tree. It was called Hoobie, right? And this guy said, hey, Christian, sorry you're using a Hoobie link. I'm the founder of Zap. Would you be interested in switching? I can build your page for you and give you our paid plan for free. Why did this work so well? I had a Hoobie link in my bio. So that's personalization. He's saying something that's relevant to me because I did have a Hoobie link in my bio. The copy is extremely short. It's literally like 20 plus 20, 25 words, right? He offered me a lead magnet. I can build your page for you. That's a lead magnet, right? And he offered me free work. He built my page for me and sent me the link, and all I had to do was toss it in my bio, right? So this is what a really good cold DM looks like, and this actually got me to switch my link. If you go on my Twitter, I still have that link in my bio to this day. I mean, he's got tons of free advertising because I get people clicking through to it. Oh, what's this cool landing page? Zap, cool, right? Lucky for you, with AI and Manus, we now have an outreach prompt that can help you create personalized Dream 100 outreach messages in seconds using Manus. So let's get into it, and I'll show you guys how to use this bad boy to create Dream 100 messages that are personalized without you doing any of the work. So let me copy this. Let's get into a new task. Let's paste it. Okay, so basically, I'm going to drop this doc here in a second, but I want to execute the prompt first before I send you the doc, because I know what happens if I send the doc. You're not going to pay attention. So to go through the doc really quick, everything is pre-made. All you have to do is input what your offer is, what your lead magnet is, and what the name, website, email of your prospect is, and it will do the research for you and get you to third base. Please note that it gets you to third base with your outreach. This isn't like, let me completely outsource my thinking to Manus and just copy and paste what it gives me. I purposely spent the first 20 minutes here showing you guys what good outreach looks like so that you don't just fall back on Manus as your saving grace, right? So my offer, what am I selling? Organic YouTube content. What is the goal for my prospect? 10 inbound sales calls per month from YouTube. What is my lead magnet? A sample YouTube script and a lead magnet to drive traffic from the video. We use Manus because it can handle large inputs and it's credit based, so it's not going to crap out and forget how to work like ChatGPT and Claude do sometimes. Like the deep research you're about to see is pretty cool. So optional details, I don't really like to use this. I just delete it most of the time. And then what's the prospect? Let's make it for myself, right? What is my website? Okay, list kit, and then my email, listkit.io. Now, all you do is let Manus go to work. And it's pretty cool to watch how Manus goes through this. Like it gives a little, okay, please. So here's an example when you can't just rely on the AI using okay, so as you guys can see right here, it's literally running. I don't know. It has its own tab open. I have no idea what that means. But it's literally researching the listkit website, pulling all of our key features, our core value prop. What do we do? What do we sell? Case studies. It's literally doing deep research on the prospect, which in this case is me, just for this example. And it's going to create an outreach message for you that's personalized. Will you send the same script to everybody? Well, Mohammed, no. The scripts are going to be different based on every prospect because you want to personalize it. But the good news is, once you have your lead magnet figured out, all you have to do is come up with a personalized line for everybody. And this is going to be a lot more repeatable and a streamlined outreach process, right? So Manus is doing deep research on the listkit website. It's coming up with, what's the best case study? What's the best feature that I can mention in an outreach message to get Christian to answer, right? And typically, I don't send the deliverable up front. I like to offer it. I like to tease it in the email or the DM. So when somebody answers, oh, I'd love to see it, then you can come back and create the Dream 100 deliverable for that person. Does that make sense? If you want to create the deliverable for that person, you completely can. But to me, I would rather send 100 DMs. And then if 7 people answer, I'll go ahead and make 7 Dream 100 documents for those people. Hopefully that makes sense. What kind of lead magnets can you get for e-com email marketing? Sample email template, deliverability guide, video breakdown of their existing welcome flow. Like Manus is still analyzing the pages of our website. It's been almost 2 minutes. It's gathering everything it could possibly gather about the website. And you can also feed Manus LinkedIn profiles, Instagram profiles, blogs, Google searches, and say, just go crazy on the research for this prospect to the point where this is replacing what would otherwise take you 15 to 20 minutes of actual research to pull something up on that person, right? How many credits? I don't know. I think like 10 or 15. Daniel mentioned it before. It's like less than $1 to run this research on somebody. Okay, it's really going to town. So in the meantime, and something to note, like when I first ran the prompt, it did not run research on the website. It just gave me a blank, like a really quick message. If it does this, don't use the output. Say, please do research using the website that I give you. And then it will be like, oh yeah, you're right. Let me go and do this research based on the website. Right. And now it's going 3 minutes in depth into research on the website. You can grab a coffee, go answer an email in this time, right? Let it do its thing, come back, see the message, send it out, right? So I'm going to put this prompt in the chat. Everyone grab that and keep it for your records because you can literally use this every day to do outreach starting after this call, right? And I see all of you. That's funny. There's literally 40, 50 people on this doc. There we go. So yeah, make a copy of this so you can change it because kind of like what I was saying with the outputs, don't just outsource your thinking to Manus and to this doc. Come in here, see what you can tweak with the instructions to make it give you a better output. Like AI is not, do not outsource your entire thought process to AI. Have AI be the, the superpower that helps you do better outreach with your own abilities, right? You can run several Manus prompts at once. So like you can start a new task while this one's still running and it will just execute both of them at the same time. This is actually taking a lot longer than usual. So in the meantime, guys, open that doc up, mess around with it. And if you have Manus already, you literally just copy the text that you see here, right? Grab the instructions, go into Manus, paste it in. It's going to show up as a TXT file. Don't freak out. Just open the file and go down to the bottom. The only thing you need to change is below your first request, right? The only things you have to input are what are you selling? What's the goal for the prospects? 10 calls a month, 2 clients a month, 10K views on LinkedIn, whatever. Input your lead magnet. Honestly, just get rid of this teaser line and then input the name, website, and email of the prospect that you want to find and do outreach to, right? And then Manus will just run. And once you do it the first time, you can just come back into your chat and it will just, you can just say, hey, do the same thing for Dan Crowley from ListKit, and it will do it because it already has the initial prompt. Does that make sense? Drop a 1 if that's making sense, guys. I want to make sure you're still following along here. Cool. Cool. I think Manus is having a tough old time with this research. So let's do Daniel real quick. And let's do it on client extension real quick. Okay. And let's say I'm selling organic LinkedIn ghostwriting, right? The goal for the prospect is 10 inbound sales calls per month. What is your lead magnet? That's where we just input the lead magnet that I just gave you guys, or that I just helped you come up with, right? A swipe file of 5 LinkedIn posts and a lead magnet for each post to drive traffic. Okay. So hopefully you guys all have this. I'm going to let Manus run and we'll come back to this in a minute. Like, right, okay, here you can see it again. It's running research on our website. It's going to come up with a message for Daniel, and I'll come back to this in a second to see the output. But everyone has this doc, hopefully. Looks like about 60 of you guys do. So I'll drop another comment in the chat to make sure you have it. And then we'll be good to go. Dream 100 was a term coined by Russell Brunson. It's just like, man, it's a different way to say I'm doing one-to-one outreach to get leads, completely manual instead of mass outreach cold email, right? So you're probably wondering, okay, I have, this Dream 100 document. I can write really good messages. How do I actually do outreach on social media to generate leads for what I'm selling? Use every single competitive advantage possible to get some attention, to get someone's attention. Like if you have, let's say you want to prospect Daniel, for example, to get him interested in your LinkedIn ghostwriting. If Daniel's a dream client for you and you want to sign him to your company and be his ghostwriter on LinkedIn, are you just going to email him one time and let it go? No, you're going to go to his LinkedIn and send him a message. You're going to go to his Instagram and send him a message. You're going to go to his Twitter and send him a message. You're going to hit him on every single channel you can possibly find on Daniel to get him as a client, right? And most people, 99% of people, will not go the extra mile to reach out on every platform and create a Dream 100 document for him and go above and beyond to make an outreach message that works, right? So I want you guys to come up with every competitive advantage you can possibly find to get someone to answer your message, right? Starting with Instagram. What do we have available to us on an Instagram DM? Number one, if you send them a video, like a Loom video, it's going to show the thumbnail of the video in the DM. So if somebody opens their DMs and sees that you have their Twitter account pulled up in front of you, they're going to be like, wow, this person really took their time to come out, reach out to me with a custom message for my business that they made on a video, right? You can also send a voice note to that person. Fun facts. We were doing a cold email campaign for ListKit. Someone was ghosting me. I texted the number in their email signature, sent them an iMessage voice note. They answered and signed up after that voice note. You have these resources at your disposal. Go ahead and use them, right? Hit the little microphone and say, hey, Christian, just reaching out with a quick message. Wanted to see if you were interested in 5 LinkedIn posts that I put together for you based on your case study with ListKit. Mind if I share the templates, the email flows with you here, right? Does this make sense? While everybody else is spamming the same horrible outreach copy, if you set aside 30 minutes a day with Manus, with social media, with cold Looms and voice notes, you will start to generate interested replies, even if you are a complete beginner and you have no past experience in business, right? I've seen it before. I've seen it with people on this challenge, people in our program. You can get a business up off the ground with literally nothing but social media outreach, Dream 100 email outreach, and a tool like Manus. There we go. So finally, I was waiting for Manus to be ready here. Here's what the outputted email from Manus looks like. Hey, Daniel, saw your blog post on how you scale from 0 to 500K. That timeline and exact blueprint you laid out is something I've never seen anyone break down. So like that line right there could use a little bit of work. That's fine. Your journey would be perfect for a LinkedIn content series. So I put together a swipe file of 5 high-performing LinkedIn posts based on that blog, plus a lead magnet for each one to drive inbound traffic, right? Mind if I share the LinkedIn series here? And that is how you come up with a really good Dream 100 outreach message that, like I said, it gets you. No sound.
Yo, yeah, Christian, you good?
I think so.
I got scared like everybody else. You cut out like 10 seconds ago, so just go
Am I
back.
good?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna turn the light on real quick. It's getting dark. Cool. Is this all making sense, guys? I've been going on for like 30 minutes here. I want to make sure everyone's following and understanding. Yes. Okay, last 30 seconds before I cut out. Like I said, Manus will get you to third base with an outreach message that you can send out to somebody. Like I said, do not outsource your thinking to Manus and just copy and paste what they give you. Take the frameworks that I've been showing you so far in this presentation and tweak the message that Manus gives you so you can send it out to somebody to get them interested. Like, for example, I would probably go for something like this, right? I put together a swipe file of 5 high-performing LinkedIn posts based on that blog, plus a lead magnet for each one to drive inbound traffic to your website, right? Mind if I share the LinkedIn posts here? The key thing to note is that even though I'm saying that I've created this swipe file of 5 high-performing LinkedIn posts, they don't have to be made yet. Like you can say, hey, I created a swipe file, an email guide, a cold email script, a YouTube script for you. And once the person says yes, then you come into Manus with the Dream 100 prompt that I'm going to give you guys, and you can actually execute the deliverable after they respond, because you don't need to have the lead magnet ready right away. There can be a 30, 45-minute buffer while you go create it. And then once you send it to them, then you push them for a call and let Dan's training get you from a booked call to a closed deal. Yes, Manus can analyze a LinkedIn page as well. So let's actually do that. Okay, so there's my LinkedIn page. And let's go ahead and, okay, actually, let's take the outreach prompt again. Got it. New task. So like if you just want to do a LinkedIn page, you can do that. If you want to use a YouTube channel, you can do that. If you want to use a website, you can do that, right? It doesn't have to just be one or the other. It can be all the above, right? There's my LinkedIn. What am I selling? It gets kind of tedious showing this as a demo, but once you guys do it once, you will have it loaded up forever. 10 inbound sales calls per month from YouTube. What is my lead magnet? A sample YouTube script and thumbnail idea. Okay, cool. And then Manus will go ahead and craft that message for you while you're finding more people to reach out to, doing client work, taking a sales call, right? Here we can see it's analyzing the file. It's going to go through my LinkedIn. It's going to go through my website. And it's going to give me a message, right? Now, let's say you're doing outreach on Instagram. You're sending loons. You're sending voice notes. On LinkedIn, the same principles apply, right? A voice note looks authentic in the DM because people can see that it's a little bubble that they're going to click on and actually hear your voice. And a loon video is going to show up as a thumbnail in their inbox, right? So utilize these features because they're available to you and nobody else is willing to take that extra mile and do so. And this is what's going to get you guys responses and booked meetings and closed deals, right? Is this making sense? Lots of chat interaction. How are we doing on Q&A, guys? There's a lot in here too. Okay. Dan's knocking them out. Hopefully you guys are monitoring the Q&A section while Dan answers some of your questions here, because I've got to focus on this, but crystal clear. Okay. The problem is I don't know how to turn these positive replies into calls booked. How about follow-ups? We'll go through all that here in a second. But so do you guys remember day one when Daniel was showing you how to use Manus to find people in your niche, like that quick little prompt he did? Okay, you remember. So on top of using Manus, you can also use social media because you have algorithms and social networks on your side, right? Let's say you want to do YouTube content for coaches and creators, right? Who is a top coach in the space? Daniel Fazio, Iman Godzi, Alex Becker, Alex Hormozy. The cool part with social media is they want you to stay on the platform for as long as possible. So they will suggest to you people that are similar to the person that you're looking up. I made this example when I first made this deck. My good friend John Danes, he runs an agency accelerator. If you go to his profile, it will automatically suggest similar people to him and give you a list of 15 to 20 to 30 more people that you can also prospect on Instagram, right? So if you're like, I just can't find any coaches, I don't know where to find their Instagrams, or not on any databases, just use the features that Instagram gives you to come up with a hot list of people, right? I could probably go in here and click on 4 or 5 of these guys, and they would be a perfect fit for my YouTube content services. And I can make a similar Dream 100 message for them using their Instagram URL inside of Manus, right? So here we go again. It's researching me. We'll come back to this once it's done. But hopefully this makes sense that you can literally use Instagram's algorithm to your advantage to find people to reach out to. What else can you do? You can just consume content in that niche. If you're in the coaching space, just go into Instagram, type in coaching, and just doom scroll reels until your entire feed is coaching reels, and you can just prospect people that way, right? Like there's so many different ways to be scrappy and go through, side doors that other people are not utilizing to get leads, right? Same thing for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great way for an account-based marketing strategy to get in touch with big companies. Because if you go to LinkedIn and you search up a company you want to work with, you will see the people that actually work at that company, and you can prospect them from that list inside of LinkedIn, right? So drop a 1 in the chat if this is making sense. How do you go out and find people using social media to actually prospect, aside from Manus, which is also there? Yes, you guys will get the gamma files from all of this. X. So X is pretty similar. There's a For You page on X. You can just optimize that, like engage with all of the content that you want to see. And there's obviously tools out there that can pull social media profiles for you to reach out to. Sales Navigator is great. Yes. 200 personalized messages to land 1 client. I would say it's far less than that. I don't know what a real number would be. Maybe it's 25, maybe it's 50 messages. But once you have that throughput, like once you get your first client, go back and look and see how many times did I have to reach out to somebody to get them a lead, or to get myself a client rather, and then be like, okay, if I send 50 DMs, I'm going to get a client, give or take. And then you can reverse engineer how much time you need to dedicate to sign a client from Dream 100, right? And the best part about all this is Dream 100 Outreach is free. You're not paying any subscriptions for anything. You're using social media, your own willpower, your own effort, and a little bit of Manus, right? Here we go. So this is using, someone said, how do I use LinkedIn to come up with a message? Here we go. Saw on LinkedIn that you booked 685 sales calls from cold email and scaled list kit to 100K MRR in 90 days. Never seen a SaaS grow that fast from purely cold email before. Really good, right? That's a really good opener because this is a factual piece of information about my business that we talk about frequently. We booked 685 sales calls from cold email, and we did scale list kit to 100K MRR in 90 days, right? I went ahead and repurposed your story into a long form YouTube video script. Your journey would be perfect for a content series. So I put together a sample YouTube script and thumbnail idea. Mind if I share it here? This is a massively good DM, like a DM that I could send out right now. Personalization that's true and relevant. Hey, I saw this post about your company on LinkedIn. Really good stuff. Not only am I pitching them a YouTube script, I'm pitching it in such a way that it relates to the personalization. Check out how this works. I went ahead and repurposed your story of growing list kit into a long form YouTube video script. Your journey will be perfect for a content series. I'm not just pitching a YouTube script. I'm pitching a YouTube script with an actual idea based on the LinkedIn research that Manus just did for me. That's insane, right? This is the level of outreach that you should be looking for when you use Manus. And if your Manus outputs are not coming up to this level of quality, sit there and reprompt it until it gets to this level of quality, or take it into your own hands and just rewrite the hook based on what Manus gives you, right? This is a LinkedIn DM. This is a cold email. This is a Twitter DM. Once you have the message, you can send this on any platform that you can possibly find. So if you were prospecting me and you had this message in front of you, I'm not saying do this, but DM me on Instagram, DM me on LinkedIn, Twitter, DM me, email me, put this everywhere until you get my attention, right? At the very least, I'll say, yes, show me your YouTube script, right? Okay. So now what happens when somebody says yes to your Dream 100 DM? How do you actually create the resource that'll impress them enough to get on a call with you? This is the Manus prompt that's going to blow your guys' mind. Shout out to Daniel for making this. I'm going to show you how to make a 30-page Dream 100 deliverable with Manus, literally by inputting a website. So here's how it works, right? Let's say you're offering YouTube content as your service. You're literally going to be able to create a massively long form Dream 100 document for them. Okay, look on the right-hand side. This is a 45-page document. How long would it take for you to write out a video idea, a lead magnet, like literally a lead magnet, another lead magnet, like so much information and value that if somebody saw this, they would be like, this is the best thing I've ever read. Now, a lot of you are saying this is really long. Okay, great. You can piece it up into bite-sized bits, right? Christian, this is way too long. No one's going to read through 45 pages. You're probably right. But how does this play to your advantage? You can take one of the videos and send it over. Hey, Christian, here's a YouTube video that I wrote up for you that you can record. They don't answer. 2 days later, hey, Christian, I went ahead and wrote another YouTube script for you. They don't answer. Hey, Christian, I actually took the first YouTube video that I wrote and made this into a lead magnet that you can put in the description of the YouTube video. If you did this for 10 days straight and somebody saw that you're writing a brand new YouTube script for them every day, they're going to be like, holy shit, this person is taking the initiative to write me a new YouTube script that's actually really good every single day until I respond. That is how you get people to answer your messages and sign clients, right? Like you'll hear from a guy, Dan James, tomorrow. He took this challenge and started doing Dream 100 outreach for his YouTube agency. And he's now working with Dan here, Dan Crowley, to do his YouTube content. He was in your shoes I think it was like 6 months ago at this time on a challenge. And he literally did this manual outreach. And now he has a 20K per month agency and works with our team at Client Ascension. So before I give this document to you, I want to run the prompt so you guys pay attention. So what do you do here? First of all, okay, before I give this to you guys, I want to show you how to actually use it because it is a little bit confusing. So first, you take the doc because this is context for Manus to see what the actual doc should look like when you prompt it. So you export the doc as a TXT file and you give this to Manus. So it has, this is what, now it knows what a good YouTube Dream 100 deliverable should be. And then you take the prompt, YouTube Dream 100 strategy replication prompt, and you feed it the prompt with the actual company that you want to run the outreach for, targeting. And all you have to do, the only manual work that you have to do is input the prospect's primary website and their YouTube channel and their LinkedIn profile if available. So literally we've simplified this down to the point where all you have to do is input a few links and you will get a Dream 100 asset that you can use to blow someone's mind and get them to get on a call with you, right? Okay, so now this is going to take a little while because it's literally a 45-page output that it's going to give me. And sometimes Manus just doesn't want to listen and it doesn't do the research. Hold on. Like you'll know that it's executing actual research when you see stuff like this, when it's saying like browsing LinkedIn, browsing YouTube, browsing, right? That's when you know that it's being executed. If it's not doing that and it's just giving you the output right away, that's when you should just reprompt it because it's just coming up with some random stuff, right? That's not what we want. But
also, Christian, it's worth mentioning that if you just had a CSV with that information in there, you wouldn't have to input it separately every single time.
Yeah. So before this call, I was just prompting it on my own to make sure that it was ready to go for this presentation. I literally took someone from my Twitter, put their website into Manus, and it ran like a 20-minute analysis, and it gave me a fully written funnel for their business, right? Like this is the actual output of what the Manus prompt will give you. And like what you guys were saying is valid. Like no one's going to sit here and read this whole like storytelling stuff. Like, oh, here's the introduction. Like, no, people just want to see the actual asset. So what you can do, like I said, is come in here and take a 15 email long opt-in sequence and put it in a Google Doc or a Gamma Doc and send it over, right? Like I said, don't just rely on Manus to give you things on a silver platter. Use your own analysis and critical thinking to be like, oh, this 15 email long opt-in sequence is probably going to impress this person. Let me copy and paste this 15 email long opt-in sequence and send it over to somebody. Let me send them the 20 video ad scripts broken down by hook and body and CTA to get them interested. Literally 20 video ads using the full funnel build Manus prompt, right? Ad script. If someone reads through 20 ads that you wrote for them and said, oh, I'm not interested, then they're not a fit to work with you anyways, and you're going to want to move on to the next. What about the follow-ups? Yeah, we'll go into that in a second. How do you come up with these mega prompts for Manus? You use Manus to make the prompts. Like, where is it? When I first opened this Manus account, I literally sat here and was like, I want to create a really personalized outreach message for people. And then once I got the message to where I wanted it to be, I said to Manus, can you please give me a prompt that I can use to create these messages at scale? So like AI is self-sufficient. You can use the AI to create the prompts that give you the outputs that you're looking for, which is the best part, right? So I'll drop this doc here in the chat. Obviously, look through this on your own time, because if you guys just dive into this on the presentation, you're not going to pay attention. I don't want you guys to miss this, but the Google Doc for the Dream 100 outreach, or the Dream 100 deliverables rather, is in the chat now as well. And I can see you guys are pouring into here with your little anonymous characters, right? And like I said, when you like pick the service that you're offering, download this as a TXT file, put it in Manus, and then copy and paste the prompt. And then just input the website and the YouTube channel and the LinkedIn of the person that you want to contact, and then you can run the prompt and it will go, right? And like I said, sometimes it just doesn't want to do the deep research, so you have to just reprompt it real quick. But you'll eventually get outputs that look like this, right? I did this for a TikTok agency from my Twitter. I literally just grabbed the first website that I could see, and you'll literally get a massive full funnel build out with ad scripts, emails, funnel copy, the whole 9 yards, right? So like I said, that doc is going to be extremely useful for you as you guys are doing your outreach. But let's get a pulse check. Are we following? I'm going to wrap up here with some mass cold email strategies before we move over to Dan's portion. So let's just make sure that we're all in alignment here. What if their online presence isn't the best? Just use their website. If someone doesn't have a website with like bare minimum copy on it, then they're probably not a good fit, right? Like, hey, I saw on your website that you're the top rated dentist office in Tampa. I actually made a YouTube script that can help you illustrate your dental cleaning, right? Hopefully that makes sense. We all good here? Let's see. How's the Q&A shaping up? Yes, like Dream 100 is what all of you should start with, because it doesn't cost any money. It just takes manual time input, and you don't have to pay for any tech besides Manus. You don't have to pay for cold email stuff yet. You don't have to pay for paid ads. You just do outreach once a day. Okay, good point. So some of you are asking what happens once a deliverable gets sent. What do you actually do to get them on the phone? So like, let's say someone says, yes, please send me the doc. And you go ahead and create the deliverable. Like I was saying, take bits and pieces of this mass doc and drip feed it out to them, right? If they say, yeah, go ahead and send me the email sequence, you can just come in here and take the step number 2 of the doc and put it into a Google Doc and say, hey, here's 15 emails that you can use to nurture people from your funnel. If they don't answer, that's okay. You can now come in and say, hey, I also made 20 video ad scripts for you based on your existing website. Here's the doc with the 20 video ads. Okay, they're not answering that message. That's okay. We can come in here and say, hey, here are 3 pre-call emails that you can use to make sure more people show up to the sales call, right? Hey, here's a complete, like, it's just actually stupid how much value is in this single doc. Oh, here's a complete VSL script that I wrote up for you with filming instructions and visuals. Like, most people will just follow up with the same templates. Hey, did you see this? Hey, just following up here. Christian, you there? Hey, man, do you have a pulse? Are you alive, Christian? Like, do not nag somebody if they ghost you. Just keep value stacking on top of the previous message until they answer, right? That's the beauty of this doc, and the output is that you can just drip feed it out to them until they're like, this dude literally wrote me a VSL and an email flow and an ad, 20 ad scripts. Sure, I'll take a call with you, dude. God, like, you went above and beyond, right? People are saying that it looks like AI moves a meal. That's, like I said, once again, use your own critical thinking, use your own skills, use your own talent to reframe what Manus gives you. Like, don't just copy the complete VSL script and paste it in Google Doc and send it over. That takes 20 seconds. Take 10 minutes and just go through this and make sure that it reads well and it looks good and it's not noticeably AI. Does that make sense? Put it in a Gamma doc like the one I've made here that like Daniel uses, right? Be, what's Daniel's word? Figure it the fuck out ability. Like, don't just take what Manus gives you and be like, oh, I have to use exactly what Manus gave me. No, make a Loom video of the VSL script. Make a Loom video of the emails, right? Go ahead and make an email design. Hire a freelancer on Upwork to make a really cool template that you can put the emails on, right? Use Gamma. Be resourceful and do whatever it takes to get your first couple clients, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So moving into mass personalized cold emails, because some of you here are probably at the stage where you want to send actual email campaigns. How should I balance between giving too much value to the point that I almost have nothing to sell them? Good point. That is a good point, actually. You want, like, the thing is, people just, if you reach out to a business owner saying I can build you a funnel, they're not, like, even if you write the funnel and you give them the VSL script, they don't want to edit the VSL. They don't want to make the funnel. They don't want to set up the automations. They don't want to do it. They don't have the time. See, the chat's already responding as I would have responded. Like, you can drip feed the stuff out to them. That doesn't mean they're going to sit down and go do it themselves. They're going to be like, dude, I don't have the time for this. You're really good at it. I'll just throw you $3K a month to go make me a funnel and manage it, right? So just come up with better stuff. Also that. So real quick before I wrap up and Dan gets into the sales side of things. So once you have the cold DMs side of things down and good and optimized, how do you turn cold DMs that are really personalized and really researched into a cold email, right? Let's just take a cold DM that I have here, for example, and turn it into a cold email script. Your thread on cold DMs was really good. I never thought to create custom lead magnets for each prospect. I just put together a YouTube script so you can repurpose the thread into a YouTube video. Mind if I share the script here, right? That's really personalized. It's going to take a lot of effort and money and AI to replicate this for a full list of 10,000 people for cold email. How do you take the same structure here and make it a cold email script that can be sent out to 10,000 people? Simple, right? You replace the hyper-personalized opener with a mass-personalized opener. As the founder of ListKit, I'm sure you're looking to build a brand on YouTube. I put together a sample YouTube script for you to take a look at. If you like it, all you have to do is record. We'll edit, produce, and post the video for you at no cost to prove ourselves. Mind if I share the script with you here, right? The same function is being accomplished of putting a YouTube script on their plate. It's just more at scale, so you can fire up a cold email campaign and send this to 10,000 people instead of going one by one with Dream 100. This is after the Dream 100. It can be Stacy. It just depends on budget and how quickly you want to scale. Because transparently, cold email does have money costs associated with it. You need domains, you need inboxes, you need a list of leads, you need a sending tool. Like, the overhead of a cold email campaign is not zero, where the overhead of a Dream 100 campaign is a couple Manus credits, right? So if you're just starting out, you have no budget, just do Dream 100 until you have your first couple clients. If you're just starting out and you want to pour gasoline on the fire with a cold email campaign, you can invest in a cold email system and utilize mass personalized outreach, right? Take the lead magnet that you already came up with, dumb it down so you can send it out to thousands of people, and then add in personalization to open the email, right? Instead of saying, hey, I saw your LinkedIn post going over your journey with ListKit, you can just say, hey, I noticed you're in charge of growth at ListKit. I put together a cold email script you can use to generate more leads. Do you want to see the script, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Dream 100 requires a domain and professional Gmail. Yes, you should probably have a B2B business email for your Dream 100 outreach. What if I make them a free deliverable and then pitch them that same deliverable for a high price? No, because the deliverable shouldn't be your service, Yazin. Like, if I write a VSL script for somebody, I'm not selling them the VSL script. I'm selling them the VSL scripts edited, posted on their funnel, building out the funnel, building the funnel automations, using AI to automate this, ad scripts, filming the ads. Like, there's so much more that comes with a full marketing service above and beyond the initial deliverable, right? Subscriptions for cold email. You need a sending tool like Smart Lead or Instantly. You need a list of leads from a tool like ListKit, and then you need domains and inboxes. So it definitely does have a little bit of overhead, right? Once again, what did Daniel say on Monday? The hardest thing in business is to get people on the phone, right? Getting the actual lead flow so you can start closing deals. The simplest way to get people on the phone is to pitch them a free deliverable or a video going over the deliverable, right? So Dream 100 cold email doesn't matter. Pitch the sample script, pitch a video going over the sample script, do anything it takes to get that yes, and then let Manus create that massive Dream 100 doc that you can chop up and send out to them until they get on the phone, right? Hopefully that all makes sense. Real quick, we're going to go through some examples of actual cold email scripts that have worked before we do some Q&A and pass it off to Dan. Because I don't want to just give you guys theory here. I want to give you guys actual examples of cold email campaigns that produced wildly good results, right? Going back to the offer levels that we broke down at the beginning, my client has a level 1 offer. They sell annuities presentation decks to financial professionals, and they generated 78 leads off of 33,000 leads contacted. You're probably saying 33,000 leads to get 78 replies. When it comes down to dollars invested to cost per lead, it was wildly efficient. And all we're saying is we can help you generate more annuity sales with our platform. The Annuities Genius platform includes real-time quotes from 100 plus carriers, advanced calculators, compliance-ready reports, and a personal website builder to get free leads. Advisors have reported earning 70K in commissions in 2 months. Do you want to see a 10-minute demo to see how you can get more annuity sales, right? They were pitching a demo straight away, and they got 78 replies to say, yes, I'll get on a demo, right? Another example, here's one that's more relevant for all of you, a level 2 offer, selling video content to e-commerce, which is a business that some of you here might actually end up doing, right? Here's the entire script. We can drive millions of eyeballs for your company across social media, even if TikTok gets banned, with our organic viral storytelling consistently. You will reach a Gen Z audience with a new format that not many businesses know about. Do you want to see a quick Loom explainer, right? Offer, millions of eyeballs for your company with our organic viral storytelling. Bonus offer, you will reach a Gen Z audience with a new format that not many businesses know about. Do you want to see a quick Loom explainer, right? The video here is the sales asset in this case. Now, moving all the way down the food chain to level 3, selling websites to local businesses in Texas. This is probably one of the hardest offer audience combinations you could ever come across, selling websites to a plumber in Texas. And this client got 11 leads in 1 month with this script. Look how simple this script is. Just curious, are you happy with your website? If not, I can build you a new one in 2 weeks. I actually made a free homepage to show you what I can do. Would you be interested in seeing it? There's no personalizations here. There's no fancy clay table. It's just a 4-line email offering a free homepage to show you what my web design client can do. They got in touch with 11 local businesses in Texas, boomer businesses, to put the icing on the cake to get them interested in their web design services. So hopefully the all makes sense. The reason that I started out this whole presentation with offer levels, lead magnets, offer creation is because once you have a good lead magnet, like a YouTube script or a funnel script or a VSL script, you can use that in Dream 100 on your website, on cold email, and generate consistent results for your business and consistent lead flow with a very, very simple lead magnet. So questions, let's open it up for 10 minutes for questions, and we'll transition over to Dan's side of things. There's a lot of questions in here. Marcin, no, you do not need a Clay API to get results. Look at this, 47 leads in a month. There's no personalization here. Right? If you have a good enough offer over cold email, it will perform without any sort of personalization, as opposed to Dream 100, where you want to have very, very, very personalized messaging to get people interested, right? Okay. Questions. Let's go through some questions because that was a lot in an hour. What would you consider a good lead magnet for the SEO space? Devro, I would go into the AI SEO side of things. Hey, I just ran an audit on your searchability inside of ChatGPT and Gemini. Would you be interested in seeing that report? Or, hey, I put together a sample blog that will help you rank at the top of Google and at the top of ChatGPT. Do you want to see it? Lead magnets do work. Yes, they do work. Thank you for saying that. They definitely do work. What would indicate which lead magnet will do well? Yeah, literally A/B test different lead magnets until you see which one performs the best. Like offer a YouTube script versus an email sequence to convert YouTube subscribers versus a thumbnail versus a content brief. Like go through different. You can also use AI to come up with different lead magnets, right? Go into Manus, be like, hey, I offer YouTube content as a service. Can you please come up with 10 lead magnets for me to use in cold outreach to generate leads, right? Would it be smart to automate Dream 100 with N8N and virtual assistants? Yes. If you can do that with N8N, by all means, do it, right? Did these free offers lead to the cold offer that Daniel was talking about? Yes. This is all front-end deliverable stuff. Once you get someone on the phone with what Dan's going to show you, that's when you can actually use your offer to convert people and close deals, right? Let's just have Manus continue and have it come up with some lead magnets for me. Are these good for ads and funnels? Email sequence, ads copy, funnel page copy, strategy doc? Yes, all good, Sanjay. Those are all good. Bilal, yeah, I mean, Bilal, just use the Manus docs that I've shared on this and have maybe a VA go through and reach out to 10 people a day, 20 people a day, and then have that VA train on Manus to have them create the actual strategy documents. And then all you're doing is taking sales calls with those prospects, right? But shout out to you, dude. Running a YouTube agency at 17 in Egypt is insane. Good stuff. Do we talk about the guarantee in the outreach? Yes, you can talk about the guarantee in the outreach. So let's say this is my outreach message. I just put together a YouTube script so you can repurpose the thread into a YouTube video. If the YouTube script is valuable, I can guarantee you 10 inbound calls a month from YouTube or you don't pay me, right? So you can take the lead magnet, weave in a guarantee, and then pitch it if you want. That's probably the easiest way to utilize a guarantee in there as well. Ruhan asked the same thing, right? Hey, I put together a YouTube script based on that Twitter thread. Just for context, I offer a YouTube service that guarantees 10 new clients a month from YouTube, or you don't pay me. Do you want to see the YouTube script? Yes, you can put the guarantee in the PS. Mind if I share the script here? PS, you're guaranteed 10 clients a month from my services, right? Let's see. How do you put together your Dream 100 list? I kind of went over that earlier. You can use social media, right? You can use the Instagram algorithm that they have where it like suggests new people for you. So you can go to Manus and say, hey, give me 10 coaches that I can reach out to for my service. Go to their Instagram, go to their suggested, and then you have a list of people, right? Does that make sense, Maddie? If you're doing Dream 100, use Manus to find leads, go to their social medias, find mutuals with them, and then you just have like a spider web of new people you can reach out to, right? Another good thing to note is anyone that somebody that you want to work with is following is probably a good fit. If they have 500,000, like Alex Hormozy, everyone that Alex Hormozy follows on social media is probably an established business owner that can be a great prospect. Dream 100 is time consuming. If you are just starting out, you have an abundance of time, you should utilize that. Cold email requires, like I said, investment into technology. If you have the funds to start a cold email campaign, do it. But if you don't have the resources to purchase these things, Dream 100 and your time is the best bet. After you send the free deliverable, how do you make them book a call? Literally, okay. Let's open up a Google Doc here. Follow-ups, right? Let's say, real quick before I pass off to Dan, where is it? Here it is. Okay, so where are the 20 ad scripts? Let's start with those. Okay. Okay, right? Hey, Christian, here is a doc going over 3 Facebook ad scripts I wrote for you with instructions on hook, body, CTA, right? Obviously, you wouldn't paste this in a message. You would put it in an actual doc link. How does tomorrow or Friday, today's Wednesday, unless you're way further ahead in the time zones, which some of you here might actually be. How does tomorrow or Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern work for a quick call so we can discuss a full Facebook ads strategy for ListKit? If it's easier, feel free to send over a few times that work with you or grab time on my calendar here. And then obviously link your own calendar there because you're giving people the optionality to pick a time or just click on the link and book a call themselves, right? You never want to just shove a calendar link in someone's face. This is the quickest way to turn them off of the entire conversation because you're feeling pushy. And you're not saying yes or no. This is not a yes or no question. Hey, are you open for the call? Yes, no. I'm saying, how does tomorrow or Friday work? Oh, tomorrow's better. Oh, Friday's better. Put people in the thinking that they're going to give you a time that they verbally commit to so you can go ahead and book them in for the call, right? I'm glad you brought this up over Q&A because I wanted to mention it, right? Like once somebody agrees to the Dream 100 resource, ask for the time tomorrow or Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, whenever. And then say, if it's easier, feel free to send over a few times to grab time on my calendar here, right? Hopefully that all makes sense. So let's do a minute more of Q&A. Then I'm going to slide it over to Dan and he will get into sales for you guys. And I'm going to switch roles with Dan. So I'll be in the Q&A section while he's presenting so we can get to more of these questions as well. Front bulk email personalization to cold email agencies. Yeah, that seems like a good offer. Hey, I can mass personalize your lead list, right? CTA in the doc or in the message? In the message, always in the message. Like this is what you would literally copy and paste into a LinkedIn DM or an Instagram DM. Ogan, I would just do it all at once, man. Grab their attention any way you can. Yeah, Martin, when you send the actual lead magnet, make sure that you include the CTA to book a call. Because if you just say, here's the document, have fun, no one's gonna be like, oh, great, let me book a call. They're just gonna go away, not book in, right? Which offer works the best right now in AIAA? Dan, I think like content or ads is the one that people are choosing the most.
I think like the ads agency probably is getting people the biggest clients the quickest, but not just running their Facebook ads. Obviously, it's like full funnel build out from creative to the actual VSL funnel and all the automations that go along with it.
Yep.
A lot of deliverables involved there, and a lot of which can be taken care of by AI. I think that's why it works pretty well.
Yep. Real quick, I'm going to drop the outreach doc. I'm going to drop the Dream 100 document creation doc, and I'm going to swing it over to Dan, and then he'll take it away. Cool. Cool. Dan, can you share?
Yep. And Moose Meal. Yeah, you absolutely should learn it, but that's also something we teach. We've got a lot of people in there who have scaled with successful agencies who made all the content inside of there. Cool. Can everybody see my screen? Just drop a 1 if you can see my screen now. I just had to request your access. All right. Let's get into it. Guys, I have some good news and some bad news. Good news is if you pay attention to everything that I teach you, you can get good at sales very quickly. Bad news, AI is not going to close deals for you. I know there's some size there and people are like, damn it, I was wishing that AI could just take these calls and close me $10,000 deals. That's not how it works, which it'd be kind of scary if it did. I don't think I want AI to be that advanced just yet. I'm sure I'll be out of a job. But the main impact that I've seen AI have on people's sales processes is that it can just help you get it to a point where you realistically go from an inexperienced closer to closing 40% plus of your sales calls way quicker than you were able to previously otherwise. So here's what we're going to cover. First thing's going to be mindset. So why you should love sales. I know there's a lot of people that come to calls being like, I hate sales. I don't want to be a salesman. They're looking at it the wrong way. Why there's no such thing as a born salesman, why you can close prospects with 10 times the amount of experience here. I saw a lot of people in the chat being vulnerable, which I appreciate, saying, hey, Dan, I've never done this before. How can I close somebody that has a lot more experience than I do? We'll talk about that in a second here, but it's really not that complicated. Everybody starts somewhere. Every single business owner that you're intimidated by started at the same exact spot as you. And then just crash course on how to always have a productive sales conversation. A lot of people have anxiety around like, what happens if I hop on? How do I conduct a call? Largely, they're overthinking it, but I understand that confusion, that fear, if you don't have a good process. So we're going to go everything A to Z from the discovery, literally all the way down to collecting payment on the call itself, and then a complete high ticket script for each and every single one of you. We've scaled 3 companies now to over 100K a month in the past 3 years here, an agency, a coaching program, and a SaaS company. This is the same script template I've used for all of them. So I know that it works across all different industries. And we've also seen a lot of clients inside of client ascension scaling with the same thing. We're going to get into an objection handling masterclass because you're going to have objections, guys. That's part of the game. AI can't take care of that for you either. And then you're going to go over how we can improve way, way, way faster with AI, which is super exciting just because one of the main things that's always been difficult is just knowing where your process has a fault in it. You're early on, you're not experienced, you're letting people get on the call, ask their questions, get off the call. If you're doing it that way, it's very difficult to pinpoint where you messed up, where was the red flag that you didn't address. And that's what AI is really, really, really good at already in terms of helping with. So the mindset portion, I talk about the service-driven closer mindset quite a lot. And I believe that's super important to start off with because sales is just as much a mental game as it is a procedural game. And a lot of people don't like sales because they're picturing some used car salesman that sells them a lemon. And of course, like nobody wants to be that guy. Everybody fucking hates that guy. But if you're looking at it as somebody that just helps other people, amazing. You can't come into it as transactionally as I'm going to go into each and every call and I'm going to reach in that person's pocket and put it into my pocket. It is a very, 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 very bad road to go down. Not only will it not make you as much money, you're going to get burnt out really quickly. Money is going to be the byproduct if you can help a lot of people. And the way that you help them is by making them make the best decision for themselves in their business, whether that is to work with you or not. And taking action to fix your problems is what 99% of the prospects need. I know a lot of prospects like hop on a call, act like they have no problems in the world. They wouldn't book a call if they have any problems. So with that said, most prospects will just want to continue on as is. So when you're thinking about who are you competing against, it's not somebody else on this call. It's not the other agency down the street. It's not the big influencer that you see with the same offers you. It's in action. That is tried and true, proven across all industries, proven across all offers, no matter how saturated you think it is, right? So inaction is your biggest competitor, and it's also the worst option for the majority of people. So of course they need your help. So of course sales is a very ethical thing to do, and it's something you should be fired up by, so long as you like helping people. Really, if you don't like helping people, sales may not actually be for you. At the same time, what's best for the prospect is usually outside of their comfort zone, because you got to realize if this person was capable of getting the help they need or doing the thing that they need done on their own, odds are they would have already done it. So they're also going to fight to stay inside of their comfort zone, and this is why we need a sales call. If it was really that frictionless or that easy, you would just have a recorded VSL that would close people. You wouldn't need anything. And it's also the same reason why they tend to argue with you, right? And why there's friction on a sales call is because people want to stay in their current situation. They say they want to go from point A to point B, but they've also been at point A for weeks, months, years. So what's another week going to do? What's another few days going to do? It's not going to kill them. It's not so bad. It's painful, but change and signing up for this new service, it's also painful to have to pay you money, right? Now, when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, that's when they'll make the change. And when them not doing anything is more expensive than what you're charging them, naturally they're going to buy. So that's what we need to get them to see on the sales call itself. One quick thing too, a lot of people are like, hey, I'm not a salesperson, I'm not good at sales. I can tell you personally, there's no such thing as a born salesman. My first sales job, and I'm very fortunate that this is what it was. It was in person, in a call center. You would see tons of different people. You would see like the jock athlete type. You'd see the guy who's just sitting in the corner, hoodie up. Nobody doesn't want to talk to anybody. You'd see the girl who's chatting with everybody. You'd see the girl who's like very, very nervous and like barely can say hi to anybody. There was no indication with personality type and performance, right? So if you're introverted, extroverted, talking to people, or hate talking to people, it really does not matter. If you can build on this process and you just have the willingness to put in the work, you can succeed. Now, when it comes out with a prospect that has a lot more experience than you, you have to remember, like, you're still just there to help them, number one, but they also wouldn't be there if they didn't need help. And their problems are largely the same as everyone else's. The same problems, different scale. The same guy that's at $10 million with his business who needs help with lead gen, he's probably just as concerned about getting his 5 account executive leads as the person who has no leads right now and needs to sign their first client, right? They also don't want somebody to treat them as their superior. They don't want to work with somebody who's their inferior. So just relax, step outside of the situation a little bit and realize that like, okay, this person is no different than I am. They don't want to work with somebody who's going to treat them as like Mr. Boss Man superior. So just carry on the same exact process. 90% of the time people have issues selling to people that are more experienced. It's just because they're getting inside of their own head. And you don't need to be like of a higher status if you're looking at just like what's your net worth, how big is your business, because they're going to beat you in that every single time. But if you're in similar or higher status within the domain that you're selling in, so let's say you sell YouTube services and you know a lot more about YouTube than this person, that's all they're looking for, right? So crash course, have a productive sales conversation. We're going to start with discovery. Rapport, not much to go into. Just don't overthink it. Don't be weird. Don't make them feel like this is going to be weird. Be respectful of their time. Jump into things. Agenda. You're setting the expectation up front for a productive sales conversation that results in them making a decision today. If you don't set that expectation and that doesn't happen, that's on you. Why are they here, right? So typically the first question after I set my agenda is, hey man, I'm sure you saw some stuff about us online. I am curious, like what specifically stood out to you that made you want to book any appointment? If they don't give me like a real good answer, well, just checking stuff out. Okay, cool. Like what's the ideal outcome for this meeting in your mind? Oftentimes after that first question, I'll get half the information on like what this person's buying criteria looks like, what they actually want to know. Whereas where a lot of people mess up is they go from agenda straight to background questions. And what you'll notice is people love talking about their businesses, right? Especially small business owners. It's like their baby. So if you just ask them like, hey, tell me what you do, you're probably going to go on like a 5-minute train to nowhere where they're just sharing so many random stories. Well, I went to Ohio State University and then my uncle was always a construction owner himself. And it's like, all right, none of this is relevant to the conversation we're having. But after you figure out why they are here, what are they looking for? Then you get into background questions. The reason why you need to do this is because people don't like unsolicited advice, right? So you need to have context about their business, but more importantly, they need to feel like you have context about their business. Current efforts, what are they currently doing to accomplish X, Y, Z? Whatever you guys help with. What are they doing for that? Even if it's nothing, there is help for them, or it is beneficial for them to say that out loud because they're going to realize how bad your situation is. Okay, what are you guys doing for lead generation right now? Nothing. I just get leads through inbound referrals. Okay, well, what are you looking into? What have you tried in the past? Right? Just understanding that. What is it resulting into? Hey, we're not getting any leads. Like even them saying that out loud is super helpful. And we want to get real specific on what the situation looks like. We want to be wary of ranges, as I always tell my sales team, because a lot of times a guy who says he gets 10 to 15 calls a month, you ask him how many leads he got in the last 30 days, and he's like 8, right? He's just lying to make himself look a little bit better. Which doesn't help him, doesn't help you, right? We want them to really understand what is the starting point. You guys want to understand what point A is and what point B is, because that's how we're going to pitch and tailor our service as the straightest line from point A to point B. And guys, I'm going to run through this really quickly because we have like a full script outline that kind of goes over everything in depth as well. So after we figure out what are they doing to fix the issue, what is that resulting in, then we're getting into the goals, right? We want to lead them here. Because if we don't know what point B looks like, we don't know what the end goal is here. And it's to the point where if you guys don't get a solid answer, like, hey, I'm looking for more views on social media, I'm looking for more clients. It's, yeah, hey, man, totally get it. More clients, more views, that's the goal. But I guess what would make you look back in 3 months and say, like, this was a win for me, right? Because when it comes to more leads, more clients, shit like that, like it's never enough. We need to understand what would be a success for this person so that when we're asking closing questions, we have something to anchor onto, right? Now, how long? So we just got, what are they doing? What's working? What are their goals? How long have they been at this point where they haven't been able to figure this out? And this is where you want to just understand like what type of urgency this person has. If they have none, you want to create some. Meaning, okay, well, if you've been operating for 4 years now, just off inbound referrals, why not keep doing that? I'm just going to lean out a little bit. Like the person who needs the least usually gets the most. It's a weird way the world works. That's why rich people get richer so much quicker, right? How likely, right? Okay, so if they are looking for a change now, I guess, if nothing changes, how likely are you to think that you're going to hit that goal that you just mentioned if you don't address this? Okay, cool, great. So sounds like it's priority. Something you're looking to do now, and you need to do something in order to hit those goals. So whether it's working with us or not, it is something where you guys are looking to increase your lead gen pretty immediately. Cool. Like I'm just going to check that box. And I love that line, like whether you work with us or not, just because it keeps true to like what my personal moral code is when selling. I know I just want this person to take action. If I lose a competitor, so be it. 90% of the time, my biggest competitor is in action. If they're actually going to take action, I like my chances. So after we built up some urgency, after we built up some opportunity cost, them saying if they don't do something, they're not going to hit their goals, which a lot of business owners, especially like most of us sell to a very similar audience, like business owners that are sub 100 employees or, in that sub $10 million range. But even if it's a larger, more corporate companies when I have sold to them, like people not being able to hit their quotas, they take that pretty personally. So that's going to build up like that feeling in their stomach that we want the feeling going into the pitch, which is like, okay, shit, I need to do something. Let's check out what this person has to offer. Now, after all this, I'm just simply recapping the situation, asking if my understanding is fair. Then I'm just going to double check, see if I didn't miss anything. And if I didn't, cool. They'll be like, okay, this person understands my situation. Now you essentially have the permission to pitch at this point. And when it comes to the pitch itself, I'm usually starting off by just giving a perspective. And when I say expert perspective here, does it get easier as you get more case studies, as you get more clients? Absolutely. But even if you don't have any case studies, even if you don't have clients, so long as you study and understand what you're selling, you can do this right off the rip. So I usually just say, hey man, cool. And do you mind if I share some thoughts? And then I proceed to tell them how I see the issue based on my expertise, right? And in this case, we're just describing the issue and why most people struggle with it, which is good. They're not going to feel alone. Why most people get it wrong when trying to address the issue, which is good. Once again, it's going to make them feel like they're not idiots for not being able to solve a very simple problem. And then I'm going to basically state that I help with this issue specifically, right? This first part here, I'll show you guys a live example in a second. But if they think about the problem the same way that you do, of course, your solution for that problem is going to make a lot more sense, right? So after that, I'm just establishing that, hey, this is exactly who I help and how we help them. And then I'm going to get into the proven delivery system, right? Which this is usually like your 3 pillars, your 4 acquisition systems, whatever your unique mechanism is for delivery. I would always create a visual for this. It could be a Gamma doc, it could be something that lives on your website, but people understand information better when they can also see a visual to support it, right? Like I know that there was like studies when we were all in grade school about like who's a visual learner and who's an auditory learner. Like everybody, if they can see something as well, is not only going to help them understand it better, it's going to make them more engaged because you're going to see something in front of them. Same reason why you guys can see all this right here and you're asking for the Gamma doc is because you're engaged. If it was just me and Christian yapping the whole time, you probably wouldn't be nearly as engaged, right? So we're talking about our 4 acquisition systems and make sure they don't have to worry about where their next client is coming from. But basically, it's just a 3 to 4 point pitch that talks about how you address the issue to get your clients results. Now, immediately after that, I'm getting into some sort of roadmap that essentially maps out my time to value. Does everybody know what a time to value is? Like if you're doing cold email, for example, and it takes me 3 months to get somebody their first client, like that would be the time to value. But I want to make sure that they see each and every individual step that leads there. Because people don't necessarily like buy giant transformations. It works well in marketing, but people buy like clear, logical next steps forward, right? So for cold email, right? Like they don't get their client till the end of month 3. Let's say that's the case, but I can still build up value. Hey, first week in the onboarding process, we're going to write you a script with an A, B, C, and D test based on what we're seeing work best in the market right now. We're going to build you a qualified list of plumbers. If that's who you guys are working with, we're going to get you on the warm-up softwares. We're going to be able to launch. And the cool thing about cold email, even though it does take some time, usually in the first 3 or 4 days of campaigns, you can see which type of campaigns are going to be winners and what aren't, just on the initial response rates. Obviously, your sales cycle is going to take some time. So by the end of the first month, we should know if we want to scale with the same campaign strategy. If not, this is what our team goes through. By the end of month 2, you should have this many positive replies. We're going to go over what your conversion process looks like. Some of our clients are awesome at this already. If not, we're going to jump in. We're going to show you how all that looks. Like once again, this is something I want to have like a literal roadmap on and a visual to support. But if I can do this properly and get them to understand what it's going to look like, that's awesome. And then the next thing is I just want to make sure that they're clear about the process because confused prospects do not buy ever. So after pitching and before closing, I'm just going to ask them if they have any questions on the process specifically, how they're feeling about it. Because it doesn't matter if they think this could work for somebody. Everybody has like self-limiting beliefs and bullshit that they're dealing with. If they don't believe that it will work for them specifically, it doesn't matter. So you have to allow space for dumb questions, essentially. And what I mean by dumb questions is like when you're doing cold email, for example, a lot of people will be like, well, why do I need different domains? And to me, that's a dumb question because I've been doing it for so long. But it's not actually a dumb question, right? It's very common for people to ask that type of stuff when they don't know. And like all of those things that are in the back of their head, you just want to allow space right here for people to get that out so that it's not in the back of their head and manifesting later on in the call as I'll think about it type of objection. So after that, they're clear on the process. They understand, okay, what are like the 3 things that move the needle for your clients? What is the roadmap to see value? They're clear on the process. I'm just going to show them what the ROI would look like. We're going to go over just a real simple example of how to create an ROI calculator in a bit here. But now it just becomes a game of, okay, I'm going to show them the numbers, what the potential ROI could look like for them in their situation. And now the rest of the call is really just like, do they actually believe that I can get them those type of projections? Because if I can, great. If not, we're gonna have to handle some objections and close that deal or die trying, right? So after I show them the ROI, we're just using something like a no good reason tie down, meaning like, hey, do you see any reason you guys want to be able to see the results like these? If they can't think of one, they're mentally defaulting to like a no, I can't see a reason, which is a yes for us. And this is a powerful way not to really close them. You're not gonna close the deal right there, but to make progress towards a close without a ton of pressure. Like this isn't a very like tough salesy question to ask. Now you should be nervous while asking that. But after this, I'm getting right into the investment and I'm relating the investment. I try to say investment, not price, back to the end result because they just saw projections with the ROI calculator. I'm just gonna say the number at that point and I'm gonna pause, shut up for a second. And if there's a bit of awkward silence, that's fine, right? If there's too much awkward silence, I'm just going to ask them and I'm going to be cool, calm, and collected at this point. Like there are parts of the call where it's helpful to like mirror the energy of the prospect. But at this point, I genuinely want to be like the very laissez-faire. I really don't care, like very confident, cool cat in this part, which is tough. It is a muscle that you have to build, but I'm giving off the energy that I'm just stating the price matter of factly because it's a no-brainer price for what we offer. And I'm about to ask them to move forward because this is just naturally what people do at this point in the call. Guys, there's a lot of value in being able to fake it until you make it. You can adopt this mindset even if you've never closed a deal in your life, right? Once again, if there's too much silence, they're like, okay, great, price sounds good. I'm just gonna ask them if the investment aligns with what they're looking to spend to get to XYZ goal, right? Keeping that goal, keeping that result top of mind. And if they don't blatantly object to the price, obviously if they do handle that, I'm just gonna lay out the next steps after they buy. So there's no like uncertainty, unknown at this afterwards. And I'm just gonna plainly ask for the sale. And one of the questions I get from a lot of people who join Client Ascension is like, hey Dan, what's your closing line? Or like, how do you ask for the sale? And I'm always very perplexed about that question because I don't even understand the question. It's just like, you just carried out the whole sales process. Just ask them if they're ready to get started. As a matter of factly as that. I had one sales guy who I actually loved because a call could be going horribly for him and he's going to ask somebody to move forward. That's perfectly fine, right? Because if you don't ask somebody to go forward, that's where, the unsaid objections typically happen. And like he would get the objection, but he wouldn't panic. He's a really good closer. He would just kind of hang in there and get to the next part of the call. Because oftentimes, guys, that is the next part of the call. Like I said, your tone should reflect that you're expecting a yes, but between you and I, you should not be surprised at all if you do not get that yes. Right. So now diving a little bit back deeper into that potential ROI and just how to use ROI-based closing logic, because that's what typically works best for B2B. Right. So with B2C, it's a little bit more emotion-based. With B2B, I personally prefer this type of selling because it's essentially just that game of like, do they believe that I can actually get them to these numbers? Right. And now prospects are usually going to make a decision logically and or emotionally. And even when they're making a decision emotionally, business owners specifically like to think they're making a decision logically. They like to think they're Mr. Business Owner who always does their due diligence. Right. But that means that if it is either logically or emotionally, and even when it is emotional, they like to think that it's logical, showing the ROI is going to help with every single prospect. Does that make sense to everybody, by the way? I know I'm moving quick. We're going to dive deeper into everything I showed above when we get to the actual script template, but I want to check in here. Awesome. And some people ask above, pushback on price. Like we're gonna do a full objection handling masterclass here. So super pumped to get into that, but that's obviously one of the big ones. Cool. So what we're gonna do is just show them the numbers, right? And I just made this real quick for you guys. Creating an ROI calculator is quite literally easier than it's ever been. I just copy and pasted a prompt that I used for this cold email calculator that I'm gonna show you guys in a second. But then the output is inside here instead of Claude. So Claude specifically is a really cool tool for me on the sales side. And I'm gonna give you guys a couple live examples. And guys, listen, you should be so confident that you're gonna close deals. Like you shouldn't be worried about the $5 or $10 a month you're gonna spend on Claude, right? But I'm pretty sure you can also do this with a free version of it. So inside of this here on artifacts, you can just go into artifacts, your artifacts. I can show you guys a bunch here, but whenever you're creating a new artifact, which is actually where I wanna go, just do apps and websites. This is where the prompt is that I made right here. Right. And you can see, I just said, hey, I'm looking to build an ROI calculator. My offer is cold email. My packages allow customers to send out 20,000 emails a month, 40,000 emails a month, 60,000 emails a month. Cost for the 20,000 emails a month is $2,000 a month. You guys can see the rest here. Let's make the 20,000 emails a month package called Starter, Pro, Expert. In terms of average results, clients will typically see a 2% response rate. That means from 20,000 emails, clients going to see 400 replies. Of those replies, 5% are typically positive, meaning the client would get 20 positive replies. Those are the leads. Of those leads, clients typically convert 40% of the book calls. So the client that gets the 20 leads usually gets 8 calls booked. From the 8 calls booked, I want the prospect, person using the calculator, enter in the close rate and the LTV. If the close rate is 25%, for example, the client would get 2 clients. If their LTV is $10,000, then the return would be 20,000. We need to calculate the ROI from there. Can you create this calculator? Guys, that was quite literally it. And you're going to see what this looks like now. But let's say somebody's looking at the starter package, right? And their close rate on calls is 20%. And their average customer lifetime value is $10,000. Now, when I'm presenting these numbers here, you can see, okay, this is the inputs that went into this, right? It's nice to break down things in a logical chain like this, because once again, people don't really buy those big transformations. But if they can see logically, hey, this is what the average client sees for us and see how this breaks down, this is something that makes sense. Guys, and I love to be conservative with projections when talking to a potential client, because what you'll notice is you can do that. It'll build trust. It's not as large as your case studies or your future case studies you guys will be earning, but there's still a lot of ROI. If I told you could give me $1 and I'd give you back $7, almost all of you guys would do that. And you can see what the cash flow looks like here from the projections that I just made, annual projection. And obviously you can play around with this and prompt it just like a prompt. And Claude does a really good job of just creating these artifacts. And the reason why it's nice to just lean on an artifact as opposed to something more complicated is because you don't need memory here, right? Like this isn't something that a prospect needs to take away. Like you can have people get their own version of this. It's not going to mess up if multiple people are using it at once, but it's just one thing that they can just go in quick. You can do this quickly on a call. And then next time you're on a call, you can just reset it. No problem. So nice, easy, free tool. You can see it looks pretty sexy as well. You can give it advice on like the colors and different stuff that you want. But yeah, very, very straightforward. Okay. So now we showed them the numbers. We presented the evidence, right? We're asking them if they believe that they're going to get those results. And at this point, you need to be able to detect uncertainty. A lot of people want to protect their egos, and somebody will be like, yeah, I think this could work. They're like, oh my God, I had a great sales call today. Guys, nobody talks that way, right? If you ask your significant other, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or whoever, hey, you want to go get pizza today? And they're like, I think pizza could work. You're back, dude, what's your problem with pizza? Why don't you want to get pizza? Right? It's not how people communicate. So you got to be able to understand and just detect when people don't sound certain, right? Now, if it is a certain yes, at this point, like I said, we're just onto the investment onboarding steps and we're asking for that sale. Maybe we'll get an objection, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there in a second. If it's an uncertain yes, which trust me does not mean yes, I'm just going to ask them why. Because I know in the back of my head that this person isn't all the way there, but they just told me they kind of were. So if I said, hey guys, do you see any reason you want to be able to get these type of results to get your ultimate goal based on what our average client is seeing here? Yeah, I think that could possibly work. I know in my head that means a no. But to them, I'm just gonna be like, okay, well, why do you think it would work? Sometimes they'll be like, wait, what? Let's be, oh, cool, why? But if they just re-ask the question, you're just like, yeah, I'm curious why you think this would work for you guys. They're gonna start to sell themselves on the logical reasons that they want to do this, right? They're gonna be like, well, you guys have a case study, or well, you guys do a lot of volume, we're not reaching out to anybody right now, or well, I like what you said about scripting and how you personalized it. So once we've established the logical reasons that they just told me, all I said was why. Now let's gauge where they're at emotionally, right? So, okay, cool. Considering the fact that you think that, you'll see, the extra client or two a month that you're looking for the reason we talked about the personalizations and the volume that we're doing here, is there any reason you want to get started on this? And that's when they're going to give me the real objection, right? If it's, I'll think about it, and we're going to talk about the I'll think about it in a moment, which isn't a real objection, it's just a smoke screen. Of course, we need to push past and isolate the real objection. Now, if they respond to step 2 up here with quite literally anything that's not yes or some uncertain yes, I'm just going to call it out, guys. And once again, this is one of those things that it's like a muscle that you build. The first time that you do it, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But once you do it more and more often, you're going to realize that you're just having a conversation with somebody who needs help. So all I'm going to say is, hey, it sounds like you're not 100% sure that this is going to help you, fix that lead gen problem to get you another 2 clients a month. What's coming up for you that's giving you some doubt? Cool. Because the whole point of this exercise, using this ROI-based, very logical closing process, is if you've done steps 1 through 3 correctly, you've either closed a deal and you're onto that, or you've isolated the objection, which is one of the toughest parts about isolating objections, is getting people past like these BS excuses and smoke screens that they throw at us, right? So let's assume that you're at, the point here where everything's going well, there's no objections, and we just collect payment on the call. A lot of people ask, hey, Dan, how do you collect payment on the call? Once again, it's a thing that people overcomplicate, but they overcomplicate it because of this very common misconception, which is that you have to send over a contract, get it signed, and then collect the payment. I used to think this was like a rule of business, that you absolutely had to do this, right? But here's why it's wrong. 70% of people are just going to go with the status quo. So if you lay out the next steps and frame the initial payment with you on the call as the first domino to fall in the onboarding process, so your team can get to work, and then the agreement as the next step to get them into the onboarding process for what you need on their end, like a onboarding form link to book an onboarding call. If they're actually ready to buy, they'll just do it. Right. So what that could look like is, hey, so what happens next is you'll process the investment here with me so we can make sure everything goes through okay. Because once it does, our team will be able to get to work on your campaign strategy right away. I'll send over that agreement as well. Once signed, we'll automatically send over the 2 things we need on your end, the onboarding form and a link to book an onboarding call, so we can get that done this week and get you launched late next week. What they're going to say after that is like, okay, sounds good. I'm going to ask, ready to get started? If they don't say no, if they're ready to go, there's no other fancy closing line. I'm just dropping a Stripe link or whatever your payment processor is in the Zoom chat. I've already prefaced that. I'm going to stay on to make sure that it goes through okay. There's really a lot less friction than people think at this point. Like I get so many questions about, hey, won't this be awkward, or does this ever go bad? I'm like, it really never does get awkward. The only awkward things that ever happen is when somebody completely backtracks at that part of the call and they're not ready to close, which is actually a good thing because that means I have an objection to handle, and it is exponentially easier to handle an objection on the call than it is afterward. It's very difficult to handle objections over email or get back to them if that went unsaid. So why is this important? The reason why it's important is because time kills deals, and nobody likes reading contracts. So if the first part of your process is for them to read a contract, they're naturally going to procrastinate it. And the issue is that their excitement is going to slowly decline the moment the call ends. I want you guys to just picture this. Can everybody see me personally in my hands? Yes. Cool. I'm Irish, but I talk like an Italian with the amount of times I use my hand. So there's some critical threshold, right? Let's say the critical threshold is right here, where they need to be excited about this enough to buy it, unless it's just going to fall in the background of things that they know they should be doing, but won't do, right? So when they're on the sales call, their excitement is way up here, right? The moment they get off, it's slowly going to decline, right? And now if they procrastinate reading the contract a week out, 2 weeks out, you can let that excitement fall below the critical threshold that we talked about, to the point where I feel like the only reason they may not close is just because they procrastinated too long. This just kind of fell on the back burner. Now, will prospects, some of them, need to read the agreement first? Yes, they will. Guess what, guys? That's fine. You don't want to spook them. I don't want to seem like a scammer who's not going to send them over the agreement until they pay me money. I'll just send it over to them. But now I'm in the same spot with 30% of the leads that would have been in with 100% of the leads. I was talking to one of our clients, Terrence, who was worried. He was running ads and he was like, dude, I have so many people that are at the finish line. These ads are working well. The calls are going well. We're just right there. And it was his first month. So he hadn't like liquidated the ad spend yet. I just told him about this and he was like, it won't work. It's their IT people. They need to see contracts. I'm like, hey, try it. Prove me wrong. And he did it. He literally came to one of our events the next week and was like, dude, you were so right. I collected 50K this week. And this is a business that was doing like 80, 100K a month, but immediately he was on pace to do 200K a month just by making this small change. Would he have closed a lot of those deals anyways? Yes. Would it have taken longer? Yes. And when you're spending money on acquiring leads, it's a pain in the ass to not be able to liquidate that money quicker. So if somebody flips out about the agreement after paying, like what's the downside of this? There really is none, right? If it's really bad, like the misalignment there, just refund them, right? These people wouldn't have closed if they saw the agreement in the first place. So the way I look at it, like you can't lose something you would have never had, and they're going to be nightmare clients. It's just cost you doing business, right? Collecting payment on the calls, that concept makes sense to everybody. Stripe recommended or bank, either is going to work. Yep. Cool. Awesome. So let's get into this breakdown of the sales script itself. So I'm going to just make that bigger. So you guys are going to get to take this home. Super valuable. Like I said, this is the same script that I start with for pretty much every single one of our offers. Opening rapport, super simple. Like I said, don't be weird. Setting the agenda just so you guys can see what that looks like. Hey, just so you know what to expect. It's going to be a casual conversation. Understand your current situation, what's working, what's not, and what you're looking to accomplish. If it seems like we can help, I'll walk through what working together would look like so we can decide if we want to get started today. If not, that's completely fine too. Either way, just looking to point in the right direction. Sound good? Cool. Now, if you have one of those sales calls, because this is all designed for like a 30-minute one call close, but a lot of times you have sales processes like ours currently at Client Ascension where the calls typically take a little bit longer. Just make sure you're good on time, right? Don't give them that out or that excuse of them being like, oh, actually I got to run to a meeting. Like just address that up front, right? Discovery, like I said, what motivates you to book the call, business background, current efforts, quantifying those current efforts, goals, pain duration, impact. Like, hey, how long have you been struggling with this issue, right? If they seem indifferent, if they seem like they don't give a shit, let's just dig more. Hey, and how's that impacted the business during this time? Hey, I guess if things have been generally working as is, what has you looking into the service now? They came to you guys. They're there for help, right? Opportunity cost and readiness. Like how likely are you to hit those goals without addressing issues we discussed? Cool. Sounds like it's a priority then. So whether you're working with us or not on lead generation, this is something you want to address now. Great. Like guys, these are all like little levers that you're just freaking being able to pull later on when you go to close. So they can't give you some random timing objection. Once again, if they don't seem like they care about this, if they seem very indifferent, hey, I guess you're confident that you get to this goal regardless. So, what's the plan? Because you guys are at 20K a month. You want to get to 50K a month. Okay. This is your plan. Why not just do that? Right. Like if they don't need me, guys, if they don't have a problem that I can't solve, I'm very much like not fretting. I'm not trying to like do something and like pull a rabbit out of the hat. Like I know for a fact that most of these guys do have problems and it's just a matter of just questioning them and logically getting them to admit that. Because a lot of times, like I said, even though people need help, they like to stay inside of their comfort zone. So transitioning into the pitch. Now, once again, the expert perspective, this is something that sometimes people can get tripped up on. It's pretty simple. Once again, I just usually start off by saying, do you mind if I share some thoughts? Still to date, never gotten a no on that. But it'll be funny when I first do. Then I'm just going to basically tell them where the thoughts are coming from and why most businesses struggle with this issue. I'm going to insert the common pitfalls, the common limiting beliefs. I'm just going to give them my expert insights and say, hey, curious to hear your thoughts on that, right? For example, guys, a lot of people come in booking calls with us wanting like a AI to run a business for them. They want AI to literally be the business owner, which just isn't realistic, right? So a pre-pitch for our own pitch, if I want to give you guys that, I could say, hey, do you mind if I share some thoughts? Yeah, just to explain where these thoughts are coming from. We've helped 1,000+ agencies scale leveraging AI. And on the other side, I've also seen a lot of people come in from other AI programs feeling like they got burned pretty badly. And here's what most people get wrong. AI is not going to be the business owner. That has to be you. You have to have good processes when it comes to your offer, your outreach, your sales, your fulfillment. AI is not going to take a shitty process, automate it, and make it great for you. The tech isn't there yet. But if your existing process is already great, then you can use AI to automate it, and you'll have better profit margins and scale with a smaller headcount than previously possible. All right. So that's our bread and butter. It's always been hands-on coaching that make sure that you have good offer positioning, good lead gen, good sales processes, and also great fulfillment so you can increase your LTV. While other programs have like flashy AI tools that are really just ChatGPT wrappers, they end up spending $20,000 on. And once they realize that, they're pretty pissed off when they come to these calls. We just want to make sure the business fundamentals are there and then leverage AI at every conceivable corner. So I'm curious to hear if all of that, like the hands-on coaching approach to build a real business, aligns with what you're looking for. So that's just like very off the cuff, but you can see how if somebody heard all of that and then I pitched them on the subsequent things that we offer inside of Client Ascension and that aligned with the way that they're thinking about scaling while leveraging AI, they're going to be like, okay, cool, right? Like everything I'm going to say is going to feel more tailored. It's going to hit home a little bit harder. So that's why I like to start about that, right? So then I'll say, okay, so awesome. The way that we help people in your guys' situation get started with an AI assisted agency is by proven delivery system, right? And this is where I'm going to share a visual representation of the system. So here's how it works. Our approach is built on a unique mechanism that consistently delivers, blank result. For us, like our 3-pillar has always been coaching, community, content. We call it the 3 Cs. So you just break down how like people hop on a one-on-one call with the student success coach. They get a personalized roadmap that shows them exactly what steps they need to take that will get them from A to B. And then we're going into how each and every one of those support layers, the coaching, the community, and the content, which is like the step-by-step tutorials, the SOPs, the pre-built end-to-end workflows, the pre-built AI chatbots that we've made based on all the 4 years of work that we've been doing here with 1,000+ businesses. And then, okay, I've presented the information. Now I'm going to talk about like the roadmap. How long does it typically take to see results? What do the first 30, 60, 90 days look like? And just to give you guys an example of that and like, what I could screen share in that situation, because the sales assets don't always have to be presented in a deck, but just on this page, I could walk somebody through the roadmap here. And this is low. I could tell them, okay, this is what happens week 1. This is what happens week 2. This is what happens, right, like second half of month 1, month 2, month 3, right? You guys kind of get the system. I don't want to give you a full pitch for the program right now, but I'm trying to use it so you can see how this is applied in real life, right? And just highlighting the quick wins, right? Like a lot of times it's not, hey, I'm going to sign a client my first week, but having a banger offer, having a good landing page with a VSL that's optimized for cold traffic and getting started on your lead generation, you haven't made any money at that point. But if you can accomplish all that in 2 weeks, that's generally a huge win for a lot of people, right? So hopefully this example is helping you guys understand how you can do this for your service too. Typically, I like to just map out the quick wins in the roadmap on their way to that time to value, right? And if your time to value is 6 months because you sell SEO, cool. Just like map out what that process looks like and where the little wins are along the way. Because if you have people that come in wanting end goal, extra $50,000 a month, extra 10 calls a month, extra 20 clients a month, and they just come in saying, I need that now. And you try to just sell them on that and you set that expectations, you're just going to have nightmare clients, guys. You don't want that either, right? So you show them all of this. Now we want to make sure they're good in the process. Now we're getting into the closing phase. We talked about using the ROI calculator, the no pressure close, the investment, the next steps, the first ask. Hopefully this is all helpful because after that first ask, the reason why I say first ask is because most sales calls that result in a close will have multiple asks in it. If you're only ever closing people when you ask for the sale once, it means you're not objection handling enough. You're letting people off call way too easy. You're at 20%. You could probably be at 40%. So that's what we're going to get into next. Christian, Q&A firing up. A lot of people asking questions here. Okay, cool. Yeah, funnels are on day 4. Awesome. All right, let's get into how to handle some objections here without needing to memorize canned responses. And right after this, I know I've been going for like 40 minutes. This thing's about like an hour 15. I'm going to get into how we're actually using AI to improve this process as quickly as possible. But in general, when handling objections, the 2 most common pitfalls are 1, not sniffing out smoke screens, and 2, not isolating objections, right? Once you've really isolated the objection, a lot of times you just need to give them the right info and the confidence to close. Right? Or you just need to know how to handle one of those few objections. We're going to talk about that. There's objections framed in millions of different ways, but there's really only like a handful of real objections, right? Now the XYZ aside method, which is what I like to use, will make sure you avoid both those pitfalls. And in a nutshell, this method is essentially just making sure they're confident this will work for them. Because remember, like we sell B2B offers. People are here to make more money, right? That's pretty much the only reason why they're there. If they don't believe that this will lead to that, they will not close. Anything else is usually just an excuse, usually just a smoke screen, right? So if we first make sure that they believe this will work, now we just need to isolate and tackle the remaining objection at hand. If someone tells you they don't think this will work for X reason, hey, I don't think your service is good because of this. I saw another YouTube video you put out for somebody. I don't think it's good. Good. Like it's awesome when they serve you those objections on a silver platter like that. Your job is very simple, right? The objection is already isolated. Just figure out why and see if you can convince them otherwise, right? So there's really only 5 real objections. Uncertainty, they don't think this will work. Fear, I think it'll work. I'm just scared to do it. Partner, money, and timing. Now, when objection handling, people are essentially trying to get off the call. So you'll notice you're deploying empathy a lot because you're lowering sales resistance. If you're just stuck in that like closer prospect back and forth scenario where now what they're saying doesn't even really make sense, completely contradicts what they said earlier, it's just because sales resistance is too high. You got to acknowledge what they're going through and just take it down a level, right? Unless they just won't be able to have a sensible conversation with you. And using questions is also a big part of this too, objection handling, not statements, because people generally can't disagree with the question. So it keeps conversation going on. But they also need to come to the decision to buy. You can't just tell them to. That would be nice if you could, but it's just not how it works. So first things first, like make sure you're asking for the sales, guys. Like I said, the best way to avoid having objections go unsaid is just by making sure that you are asking for the sale. Even if the call results in a no, and this is like a quick mindset shift all you guys have to go through. If the call results in a no, that is better than this all looks great. I'll get back to you soon. All I want are yeses or nos, not tons of people in limbo. You need to seek decisions, not validation. I don't like when people are like, hey, this is awesome, Dan, a great presentation. You're a really good sales guy. Because I know that compliments are one of the most common forms of deflection at this point in the call, right? I need to get to the truth. I need to seek a decision, not them saying, hey, this was a nice presentation. Good job, kid. Right? Now, I need to think about it. Like we talked about earlier, it's not a real objection. It's a smokescreen. If somebody says I need to think about it, do not ask them, well, what do you need to think about? Because most of the time, they're just politely telling you no. So asking what they need to think about makes no sense. And it fails to sniff out the smokescreen. Instead, say, hey, totally fair. A lot of our clients were the ones who had the most questions in the sales process. But before you go away and think about it, which empathizes, like I said, with their stance to lower sales resistance by prefacing that they can go away and think about it. We're not going to hold them hostage on the call. And then when I say, before you go away and think about it, do you think this is something that could actually help you get to that goal of 2 clients a month? Because let's say they actually do have something to think about. They've got a lot of their mind. It's been a busy day. I don't know. Even if they did have something to think about, if they don't believe your service is something that's going to work for them, they're not going to join anyways. But if they do think that this can help them get to their goals, once again, I know that's a version of that uncertain yes that I mentioned earlier. So if I say, hey, do you think this is something that can actually get you to $50,000 a month? They're going to say, oh, yeah, I actually think can. Okay, why do you think that? Right? They're going to start to sell themselves on your offer. And then we can ask, hey, so if you're confident that you can achieve that goal that you had with our service for these reasons, and I think that's actually a really good point, what's coming up for you that makes you feel like you have to think about this? Now they're going to give me the isolated objection. Like I said, we need to make sure that we sniff out the smoke screen. I need to think about and then isolate. This is exactly how you do it. Awesome. If they don't think that this can help them, obviously, or they sound uncertain, we just need to call that out and isolate it. Now, uncertainty. The most difficult part about uncertainty is just, like I said earlier, getting used to that muscle of calling it out. Once we build that muscle, not being afraid to have uncomfortable conversations, then it's pretty straightforward. We just need to quantify their uncertainty because uncertainty is a very gut feeling, wishy-washy, pie in the sky type of thing, and figure out after we quantify that, why they're not 100% confident. So usually what I like to do is just use a 1 through 10 time check. Super regular, super like textbook, but it works if you do it this way. There's a reason why a lot of people use it. It's because it works, right? You need to use ridiculously polar opposite examples of what a 1 is and what a 10 is, right? So what I mean by that, guys, hey, I hear you. Sounds like you're thinking through some things. I guess just so I understand where you're at, where would you say you're at, 1 to 10, 1 being like, I just never want to talk to this damn guy again. Get me out of here. And 10 being, yes, this is absolutely what my business needs to fix the lead gen issues I've been dealing with for the past 2 years. Then just shut up. They're going to think for a second, and they're pretty much always going to respond to 6, 7, 8. And if they respond that, you may say, hey, Dan, if you already know they're going to respond that, then why even ask in the first place? Once again, I'm just going to ask them why they're that high. They're literally just going to start to sell themselves again. Hey, I'm a 7. Okay, well, it's not a 0. So I guess that's good to hear. Why are you as high as a 7? Oh, I like you guys do this. I like how you guys do that. You're starting to see the patterns. And this is just singed into my brain. And I can do it all the time with any objection that somebody throws at me because I don't have to memorize like a canned response, right? I used to, when I was first running my agency, I had like a flow chart. I can't remember what software I was using. It was like a Miro board though. That'd be like, if the prospect says this, go there. If the prospect says that, go there when objection handling. It just didn't work that well because people will say different forms of the same objection, but it's just phrased differently and it'll mess up the actual wording. So if you're trying to read off of something, it's just not as good as having a framework like this. For example, a budget objection, maybe I can't afford this versus, hey, I would need a client to pay first in order to afford this. Same type of objection, but if I said the same thing next, it wouldn't work. All right. So now at this point, we just got to isolate the objection, right? So, hey, why are you that high? I like this, that, and the third. Okay, cool. So I guess if that's the case, what's coming up for you that makes you feel like you're not 100% of the way there? Now they're going to give me the actual objection, and that's the one that I can handle. Fear. So fear usually comes up when you've successfully handled another objection that turned out to be a smokescreen in B2B sales. It's usually something that people don't overtly say. Like they're not going to be like, hey, I'm scared to do this, especially when you're talking to a business owner. So it's one of those things where like a signal you should look out for that you're dealing with fear is when it seems like this is great, they think this can work, but they can't even articulate why they don't want to move forward, right? So if this seems like the case, I like to use something called permission-based sales and ask, hey, do you mind if I ask an awkward question? Guys, in permission-based sales, you should look it up. It's something that's like a really, really good concept. Whenever you ask that, like, do you mind if I share a perspective? Do you mind if I ask a personal question? Do you mind if I ask an awkward question? 1, they're always going to say yes. 2, you now have permission to ask any question that you want. And 3, it usually does lower the sales resistance a little bit because if you frame it as an awkward question and it's really not all that awkward, they're usually a bit relieved because they were expecting you to say something worse, right? So, hey, do you mind if I ask an awkward question? Yeah. Is it just that you don't want to make a rush decision? Then I'll have all this flop. And then usually they'll say yes, right? Like, yeah, I want to make sure I actually think this is going to work first. I had a bad experience with this person, that person, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Makes perfect sense. Like, I don't want you to make a decision until you feel like you're fully confident in it, whether that's today or a year from now. That said, making decisions quickly when you're fully confident that something is going to work isn't a bad thing. I'd say it's actually a strength. So setting aside just gut feelings for a second, I guess, does this at least logically check all the boxes for you? They'll think out loud for a bit, which is good. Like you're back in the sale now. And they'll probably admit they're worried about one specific thing, whether X is a bad experience, the investment size, needing to pull together funds. We need them looking at the potential returns, not just at the actual input of how much money they're giving you, right? We need them to look forward to like that goal situation that they want to get to. Because what's happening here is you're just letting their current situation, their current circumstances hold them back. And this is where like a symptom problem dynamic can come in and help you out a lot, right? They need to realize that it's more expensive to not invest now, or it's more expensive to let that bad experience of getting burned by another agency burn them twice when it's already burned them once. Or they need to realize that if that one client that they need to pay them in order to do this doesn't pay, they would need this even more. Right. So if I went through this talk track here and somebody's like, yeah, I do think this works. I do think that works. I just need this client to pay the invoice, or I need to sign a client this week to be able to do it. All I would do after that is say, hey, I guess what happens if the client doesn't sign? Just curious. Well, then I don't know if I'd be able to do this then. Okay. I hear you. I guess you mind if I just share my perspective on that? No, Dan, go ahead. Yeah. I just think that the client and you needing him to sign on, that within itself is not necessarily the problem. It's more so just a symptom of the problem. And what I mean by that is if you had your lead gen issues figured out already, I don't think you'd be too stressed about where that next client is already coming from. So I guess if that client didn't sign, once again, do you think you would need this more or less than you do right now? And I'm going to have a hard conversation with them, guys. But at the end of the day, it's usually just going to come down to like, okay, do they have access to the funds right now? If not, perfectly fine. Obviously, we can't close somebody by putting them in a situation of financial ruin. But you'll notice in this country, or in a lot of countries, people have access to capital, right? And people typically can usually find, if they want to do something badly, find access to the money needed to fix their problems. And if it is the right thing, if it is genuinely going to help them, then taking this action, in my opinion, it's the ethical thing to do. Now, if it's a partner objection, I need to talk to my partner first. Let's just not give up on this and book a follow-up call. Let's first empathize with their stance again. But ask them if they think that this can help them hit their goals. Hey, no worries. I got a business partner myself, so I get it. You can see the empathy there, right? But before you go away and talk to John, I've got to ask, in your opinion specifically, do you think this is something that can help you achieve this goal? Right? If there's uncertainty, once again, let's call it out. But if not, awesome. Awesome to hear. I know you're running lead generation. So if you're confident that this is what you guys need, then I'm curious, like, do you think there's any reason John would be against this? And a lot of times they'll just voice their own objection they were too afraid to say, or they can displace the objection, on John and say, hey, John's price sensitive, whatever. Either way, it's helpful to solve it. Whether it's the thing that they have a concern about that they're too afraid to say, or their partner would actually have an objection. Great. Let's solve it. Right? Now, if it is something where this person would have no problem with it, the partner, and they're fully confident it would work, then it just becomes a lot easier to compress a follow-up timeline and get that sign off on the call or as soon as possible, which is key because time kills deals, like we talked about with that excitement dropping below a critical threshold. I've done this properly many times and it's like, hey, dude, no, I need to let him know when I'm spending money like this. And I've just been like, okay, cool, dude. Like, is there any way you can get in touch with him now? I've had many people who just call up their partner and just sign and close on that call. But if I was lazy and I was just like, cool, let's book a follow-up call. Once again, that's not going to get me anywhere, right? You need to lock in. You need to stay in the pocket in these specific parts of the call, right? So what you'll find is that if you actually have the person on the call 100% sold, a lot of times it's still going to result in a follow-up call, but your success rate will be much higher because that person is going to become a champion within their company for you, and they are your teammates on the next call. So if I have that same guy on the phone with his partner next call, a lot of times it feels like 2v1 as opposed to 1v2, meaning it's like me and the guy I just talked to really advocating for this versus one skeptical or in the dark party. Way easier than if you don't handle any objections on that first call, and now you got to deal with two skeptical people at once. Very tough. I can't afford this, right? Money objection. Hey, all good if you can't. I don't want to tell anybody who'd be put in a situation of financial hardship, but I'm curious, money aside, is this something you're 100% confident will get you to those 5 clients a month? See, what I'm doing here is just making sure that money is actually the problem, because anybody can tell you I can't afford this. Anybody can object to the price if they don't think it's going to work. If I don't think something's going to work, I want to spend $10, let alone 10,000 on something. So if they are confident here, right? If they're not, obviously address the uncertainty. But if they are confident, awesome. So if you're confident that this can help you achieve that goal, then would you be open to just having like a honest conversation about your finances so we can see that we have an option that works for you? Cool. Once again, people have access to credit. There's ways to, if they actually think this is going to work and it's not just a smoke screen, there's ways to tackle that objection that are very straightforward. Maybe you have payment plans they didn't know about. Maybe you have a slightly lower level of service. But now once I have permission, once I have understanding that they are like full-throated, fully confident in this service specifically, it's a lot easier to understand that I'm not just dealing with a smoke screen. And I can figure out, okay, what do they have the budget for to invest in lead generation to get to that goal of 5 clients a month? You'll notice that if they are confident in thinking about the end goal of 5 clients a month, in this case, they're just magically going to find money under their pillow. At least that's how it seems. Timing objection. This all looks great, but we're not ready to move forward on anything for a couple months. Hey, no worries at all. But I'm curious, man. Let's say it's a couple months from now, timing aside here, are you actually confident this can help you achieve that goal? Like, is that something you pull trigger on 2 months from now, right? If they're confident, yes, then I'm just reiterating the typical timeline to see results. And I'm being conservative to set proper expectations. And I'm comparing it to the timeline that they gave me for when they hit their goals in discovery. This is why discovery is important, guys, because they're going to give you some goal that they want to achieve. We're going to lead them to a real clear goal by a clear date. And if that doesn't really align with getting started when they said that, I'm just going to point that out, right? Most of the time, people want to hit their goals in a timeline that they gave you. Most of the time, if people want to do that realistically, they should get started now, right? Like if I'm selling somebody cold email and they say, yeah, I want to get started on this in January, and I get clarity on the fact that they said that they have goals for January. If you want to get calls and clients from January, like you should get started on your cold email now. You're going to be launched in the first week of December. You're going to ramp up to full speed in the first 10 days. And obviously you have to have your sales process play out, right? But if there's a gross incongruency between what they told you earlier and what they're telling you now, once again, just call that out. You don't have to be a dick about it, but you can just very clearly say, hey, I know you mentioned earlier this. I guess I'm just curious because typically, like I said, to get to that level of outreach, it's going to take us 3 months. I guess it doesn't seem like it's lined up for me. Is there something else that's just like a higher priority for you guys at the moment? And if it is a priorities issue, cool. Let's just solve that. Where are they putting their money right now for their marketing dollars? Where are they putting their money right now for their sales dollars? If something's not actually producing, is it in their best interest to let them stay doing what doesn't work at the expense of doing what could work to help them get to their goals? Probably not, right? Cool. All right, guys, that was an hour, which is the quickest I've ever gone through that. But now we're going to get into how we can improve quickly by using AI. Is everybody following along here still? I know that we've got some people who went out to get dinner, work with mid-market. So it's usually that was okay. I'm going to have to get some of these questions, but one, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, cool. In general, even before AI was really a part of our process, the beautiful thing about sales is, and always has been, that you can get good at it pretty darn quickly. And this is because the feedback loop is immediate. But it's only true if you're actually reviewing your stuff, or have sales coaches you work with, like in Client Ascension, that review it for you, and you're putting in the work to fix that. Like you guys can bomb a call, worst call ever, look like complete dummies on it. But that next call you hop on, that's a beautiful thing. It's a clean slate. That prospect doesn't know how bad you just looked on the call previously. You fix a couple things, you figure out why you were nervous, you figured out where you lost a person in discovery, or where the pitch fell flat. Cool. You can fix it literally on that next call, right? And that's the thing. Most people already know how to get better at sales. It's reviewing your sales calls, it's doing mock calls, it's creating sales assets, it's refining your discovery, refining your pitch. But the most difficult part about this process, and trust me, I know because I lead the sales teams. We have 7 account executives over at ListKit. We have 4 closers over here. The most difficult part has always been identifying the problems to address. Because I used to just see how much I could work, right? That's how my life felt. Like how many hours am I going to work today? Because there's an endless stack of work to do. How far down that stack can I get? Right. So this is where AI is like truly impacting my life the most. It's just by being able to kind of cut through the bullshit, find the problems quickly, sift through the hours of call recordings, and find out, hey, which sales asset should I create for my guys? Where did this closer lose the prospect? Where could I have created more urgency? How do I follow up that prospect? I don't even know why I got ghosted. And this is where it comes in, right? Now, first off, make sure you're recording every call, because obviously the call transcripts themselves are going to be like the gas that you pour in the fire there to actually make all this work. I would use something like Fireflies or Fathom. I'm going to show you why I use Fireflies in a second. But once you have the transcripts, any LLM can help. I saw a lot of questions. Manus, ChatGPT, Claude. Doesn't matter. The reason why I like to use Fireflies specifically and Claude with it is just because there's a connection there, meaning it integrates natively there. So if I was going to Claude for you guys, let me just go here. You can see in my settings, they have like this connectors here. They have this Fireflies connector that you can configure. They also have HubSpot connector, which is pretty cool because we have like we have a pretty high volume sales process. It's not difficult if you're just closing a client a week or a client or 2 clients a week or a handful of clients a month. But we're typically closing like between both companies, I don't know, 30 plus clients per month on some sort of high ticket offer. So it's a lot. So it's nice to have your CRM connected. So I can ask Fireflies, hey, find me 50 recent transcripts. Okay, now take the participant and cross-reference that with our HubSpot to find people that are in a close 1 stage. Okay, tell me what's the difference between those conversations, the 10 that you found that closed, and the other 40 that you found that didn't close. right? And it can talk back and forth. It's super cool. I'll show you guys like a real example in a second in there. But like anything, guys, like it genuinely does serve you to figure it out yourself first. Like Christian said, don't just outsource all of your thinking to AI. Get your process to where it needs to be in terms of numbers. And I actually like did an extra bonus here for you guys, which is just like a closer tracking sheet. So you can know what the numbers are. And this just explainer video so you guys can see like how I think about sales projections. But figure it out once you get to that point where you are closing deals consistently, or you at least close a couple deals. Awesome. Like this is where you're going to be able to pour gas in the fire and do things like create a call scoring rubric. So anytime you want a call review, it's going to take a minute, not an hour. To give you guys an example of this, we've closed hundreds of deals, thousands of like literally 1,000+ prospects on this offer that we have over at ListKit. And I just had this Google Doc that one of our guys just built an end-to-end flow that will literally take this prompt and run every single call recording through it. So I said, hey, you're a ListKit sales team coach. This is a platform that provides lead generation. Your job is to analyze sales team's calls, give critical feedback. I'm going to be training you on how to give the best feedback in order to maximize the team's close rate and cash collected while setting proper expectations for the customer success team. Here it is. I gave the script for context, which is just screenshots of the script itself. And literally, I just ranked every single part of the call. So I just came up with arbitrary numbers and I was like, hey, this is 0 points, 1 point, 2 point, 0 point, 1 point, 2 point, right? And it's pretty cool because it's the same thing that you guys just saw here. But now every time a call runs through, I just have a Slack channel that just populates with my guys' calls already reviewed. So I'm like checking on this one. I was like, okay, this is a pretty good call here. It's a 90%. He got an A. It's 54 out of 60. And it gives him like the key takeaways, the strengths, the areas of improvement. And it's also backing up what it's giving with actual like transcripts from the call, like stating evidence to support the argument. On the flip side, I may want to talk to another one of our guys, Evan, because on this one, he got a D, right? 63%. So it's cool to just look through this and also talk to these guys. And like I said, with AI specifically, you don't want to outsource your thinking, but it saves you so much time just being able to pull this up, go over this on a call with somebody, as opposed to having to sit through the hour worth of calls there. And there's other softwares that do this specifically nowadays, but I've demoed those softwares that do like AI call reviews for you. I haven't found anything that just works as good as the information I input, probably because I'm giving it so much like offer information input. All that goes to say is like, if you are doing things like this and putting in the work, you're not going to need like that extra expense. You can just use one of the popular LLMs out there. So going back to this right here with like the connector between Fireflies and Claude, I gave it this prompt and it was pretty darn cool. I had to blank this out because there was some sensitive information on it, but you could see the initial prompt was, hey, Claude, using the Fireflies connection, how many meetings in the past couple months do you have access to with AI assisted agency in the meeting title? And Logan, Peter, Andrew, or Lucian are 4 closers as hosts. And it said, okay, great. I'll find you the meetings. It found me 50 meetings, right? That usually just like rate limits at 50. One of the reasons why we like to use Manus for stuff is it just doesn't rate limit like this, but 50 is still a lot of calls, right? So it's like, okay, awesome. Now I want you to reference HubSpot and find the participants in those meetings who are also in HubSpot as contacts associated with a deal in the closed won or hot list stage inside of HubSpot. And Claude was like, okay, great. I'll do that for you. So it finds me 9 people here that have closed. I say, okay, awesome. So analyzing the 50 meetings you accessed and the 9 of them that went the way that we wanted to, closed or committed, I have a few questions. What are the 5 most common concerns or misconceptions prospects had coming to the call that are sales guys, Logan, Andrew, Peter, Lucian had to address to clear up? This is a good question because it helps me understand how I should fix the pre-call process. Like what common concerns or misconceptions should I address up front before they even get on the call? What are the 5 most common objections that people had after learning more about the program? And what was our resolution rate with each? Like how good are we at actually handling that objection when it does come up? Finally, with the 9 prospects that were in the hot list or closed won in the 41 other meetings, if you were Alex Ramosi and coaching our sales team, what would you say is the main difference between our process of those 9 calls versus the other 41? Feel free to include differences in our process, type of prospects, anything you feel relevant, right? So Claude spit this out. I was like, hey, here are the top 5 common misconceptions or concerns people have coming in. And this is pretty common with the coaching program when people are coming from paid ads. Like there's just a high level of skepticism. So just the more stuff we can do in the VSL to just relate to that person. We don't even do any lifestyle marketing as is because we realize that it just attracts the exact wrong person that you want. But just getting in front of them, Trustpilot, Reddit reviews, just real examples of client work, just anything that we can to build more credibility. Great. I'll have to do a lot of cold calling. I don't know where this came from just because we don't have anything that mentions cold calling, but for whatever reason, like this is one of those things that I would not have been able to know if Claude did not tell me because we don't market like this is a cold calling program, right? But it was just like, hey, it's worth now putting in the VSL and the pre-call information that this is a way that we teach you how to get clients. The same way that Christian just taught you with Dream 100 with cold email and other methods that work without them having to sit there and cold call people all day, which like I've done before. Not super fun. AI is too complex and technical for me. Just mentioning like, hey, you don't have to be a software engineer for this. You don't have to have any coding experience. So long as you can use basic no-code tools and follow very step-by-step SOPs and instructions, this can work for you. Just another thing that'd be good to throw in the pre-call material. This market's going to saturate too quickly. What if I'm too late? Prospects feared the missing opportunity window, right? And if our team is obviously figuring out like how to position that objection as a way for them to obviously not be concerned about it coming into the call, it just makes our lives easier on the sales side. So a lot of times I'm like obviously giving our team critical feedback and telling them what they should have done this, what they should have done that. But a lot of times like pre-call, I just want to do a lot of the heavy lifting for my team, right? And this one right here is one of the things I was talking about with the guys today. And they're like, yeah, it does come up, but it's one of those things that we can just ask a couple questions. People get over it pretty quickly because it's pretty ridiculous. Like people are so early at this point. There are very few people running agencies the way that we teach it. So great. I won't get support after buying, just videos and disappear, which obviously, once again, if we just mention this stuff beforehand in the call, it wouldn't be a concern coming into it. Top 5 objections, investment. The good thing is our team has a very high resolution rate, but of course, like any offer that you have, people are going to be concerned about that coming into it. But the fact that it's, resolution rate high, awesome. Don't really need to work on that too much, but medium high here, time commitment concerns. People typically need to work, I would say like a couple hours a day in this program. Or just for the running a business in general. What's business model is right for me? So I'm seeing all these that are high. So like, which ones am I going to focus on with my team in the team meeting? It's going to be this one, right? Addressing concerns, limiting beliefs around lead generation, because we have a medium resolution right there. And I need to research other programs. So obviously we want them to just overtly tell us on the call, like, do they think everything here that they need to get to their goals is actually here? right? Like, do they think this is going to work for them? Same way that we always handle objections. If yes, then we want them to almost, and obviously you do this by deploying empathy. You figure out what questions that you can ask, but you want them to realize that if everything I'm looking for is right here in front of me, what is the purpose of delaying results even further and looking into a bunch of other programs, right? So Hermosi, given the main differences between, the 9 deals that close versus the 41 others, like obviously prospects that are easier to close that come and decided easy. Talking about budget and discovery was another takeaway for us in this team meeting. It's skin in the game. So yeah, a lot of people that have already tried and failed are just easier than the people that have never done anything before. People asking execution questions. So like the more people ask about our actual processes, I found like the more people actually like try to poke holes in what we do, the more they close. It's the people that are just like asking questions about like this in theory. They typically don't close at the same rate. Full-time committed, not side hustler dabbles, right? So like time qualification, budget qualifications, all those things should be done in discovery, showing too many options for the investment, giving them analysis paralysis. It doesn't handle the wife objection properly. So I don't know if that's just because I have a lot of closers who one of them's married, but the other 3 aren't. So we got to get better at that. Urgency is weak. So that's another discovery thing. But awesome. You guys can see how this is a lot of deep research. It literally took me 10 minutes. So we're going to wrap it there. I'm down to stay on for another like 15, 20 minutes just to answer some questions. I know we still got 146 here, which is freaking awesome. So yeah, let's go into let me stop sharing my screen real quick. Can we get the script to analyze the calls? Like, yeah, you guys are gonna get all this stuff. So I'll just drop the script in here right now, or like the actual Gamma doc that has everything on it. But of course, like if you guys need something, here for that. All right, Q&A. So Ruhan just asked, Dan, I've got 3 questions. I really appreciate your insights. How would you use an ROI calculator if you only have an offer that we will build you a YouTube client acquisition system that gets you 5 clients every month in 90 days? It'd be pretty straightforward, just showing them the actual inputs that lead to the 5 clients per month. Just because, like I said, people typically don't buy the transformations. They buy those like next steps that just logically make sense. And then just asking questions about their LTV, right? So it could be like calls, what their close rate is when somebody comes in through inbound. And then obviously if they have a certain LTV, awesome. Don't go over the contract stipulations on the sales call or bring up objections. So if you have stipulations in your contract or in your guarantee, that is something you could go over, but just screen share that specific part of the contract. Don't wait for them to need to read the whole thing and then go from there. I live in Pakistan, so we can't use Stripe. I use Wise, but even with Wise, I can only receive payments to my bank. So the guy left to put in the info one by one. How'd you take payments on the call? So with Wise, I've paid people out in that before. I'm pretty sure you can still just have a checkout page though. I would just find something that just acts as a checkout page. That's why it's easy when you just drop it in the chat. Okay, what if prospect needs approval from higher up, Dan? Yeah, that's a partner objection, right? You want to make sure that that person that you're talking to is actually sold. And if they are, it's going to be a lot easier. Because let's just say they're an underling. Like they were sent from their boss to go sniff out your solution. If they're really, really convicted in your solution, that follow-up call is going to be so much more productive. Even when I bring an idea to Daniel or Andre or Christian, if I'm like, yo guys, I think this is something we should do. Like, how much does it cost, Dan? Like $5,000 a month. Yeah, okay, cool. We'll get into talking about something else. It's just going to fall in the back burner. But if I'm like, guys, this thing that's only $5,000 a month is going to help us make another $20,000 per month easy because it's going to increase our close rate by 1%. Is this something you guys are down to do? They're usually like, yeah, Dan, whatever. Like you run sales. I'll trust you for that. Right. So Ogun, even though you're probably going to have that follow-up call, make sure that person is sold first and fully convicted. And then obviously, yeah, compress the timeline as much as possible. Ideally go for a follow-up call like that next day, if not the same day if possible, because usually people have goals and timelines that don't line up with how slow their buying process typically is. Okay. Follow up on email personalization for cold email agencies. Every 100 mails costs $3 for me. Keep thinking about, yeah, that's more of a Christian question. How do you improve your communication accent? Saphir, that's a really good question. I'm not sure how to improve your accent. I'm sure in this vast world of AI and information that we live in, you could look that up online. Probably something worth working on though, if it's held you back though. Like guys, I'm very much just like a realist. Like, yeah, if people are bothered by your accent, you should probably work on your accent. That said, we've had people from Bangladesh crush it in here. We've had people from Pakistan crush it in here. We've had people from Lebanon come in, scale to 50K a month. Like it's not impossible, guys. It's definitely not. So I understand why some people have concerns about like my accent and this and that. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's like a strength for you. But it's absolutely something that we've seen multiple clients sign very high ticket deals with US buyers, even when their accent is pretty darn evident. So like, yeah, that's a Google question, but definitely something that, you can fix. And it's not like a deal breaker in sales. Do you try to remove all the objections before the price is on the table, Dan? Yes, Marcin. To the best of my ability, of course. They're still going to come up though, because somebody having an objection being able to articulate a reason why they don't want to do this yet is one thing, but as you're just carrying out the pitch. But when you ask for the sale, when you're actually asking them to pay you, that's when it's like a whole different level of interest. They're going to take everything they do a lot more seriously at that point because it actually requires something for them. But yeah, I like to use trial closes, which is just like measuring their certainty throughout the pitch. So of course, like you have regular check-in questions to make sure that they're following along. Hey, I'm curious, do you see how that would, fix this issue for you guys? Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. Any questions on the process? Cool. So that's a trial close and then a check-in question, right? Just to make sure they're clear in the process. Trial close is just like gauging their certainty as you're going throughout the pitch, which like, of course you should do. You shouldn't just pitch for 15 minutes uninterrupted. It's not a direct way to have a sales call. And checking questions is just making sure they actually understand what you're saying. So yeah, healthy dose of those throughout the pitch, of course. You want it to feel conversational. Bulk email personalization, not gonna answer that one. Can we hear objection handling for people who haven't had 100,000 plus agencies? Yeah, guys, it's the same thing. So when it comes to objection handling, like nothing that I said changes, even if I was starting at 0. Now, if you're asking, can I hear like a pre-pitch or a type of offer that works with somebody who doesn't have 1,000 plus clients like you guys? Because once again, the objection handling is literally the same exact way. This is why good offers are so important. So let me break this down for you guys. When you have an offer, some of you guys may have guarantees, some of you guys don't. Some of you guys have a risk reversal, some of you guys don't. Some of you work on performance, some of you guys don't. The more case studies, credibility, just fucking authority that you have in a market, the less you need a guarantee, right? The less you may need to do free work, the less you may need to have a performance-based offer. The less case studies, credibility, authority that you have, yeah, probably the better your offer needs to be. That makes sense, right? Like when I was first in college and we started our agency, we worked on performance. And that was a blessing in disguise, because if somebody's like, hey, you're just a kid, you've never done this for a business before, how can you get me results? Well, I asked them, okay, well, how did I get you on the call today? Oh, well, you sent me an email. Okay, well, that's what we do for our clients. Are your clients that much more sophisticated than you? Oh, no. Okay, well, let's just get into the offer though once again. What happens if this doesn't work? Well, I don't pay you. Okay, well, cool. I'm confident I think we can make this work. But if you don't pay us, like you said. So best case scenario is we fix this issue that you've been dealing with for 3 years. Worst case scenario is you don't pay us. I guess, are we looking at this the same way? That's, once again, like that's going to work if you have 0 clients. It's just the nature of the business, guys. Every single person starts from scratch. I don't know, unless you're like some Nepo baby and like Jeff Bezos' son. Do you pull up visuals on the discovery calls to show the value stack pitch? No, I'm going to pull up the visuals almost always in the pitch, not discovery. Yeah, another person asked the 1,000+ agencies. Guys, like I said, so long as you study this stuff, I don't care if you're breaking down somebody else's funnel and you've never done this for somebody. So long as you can give them an expert insight for somebody that studies and cares about this stuff, it can work really well. If you're selling a retainer, would you recommend collecting full payment up front for several months, 3 to 6 months, or just charge them for the first month? I'd recommend collecting the whole thing up front. Obviously, like I would give them some sort of bonus, right? So let's say you have a month-to-month retainer. One of the best things we did over at ListKit is we had a month-to-month offer, but we gave them a discount if they were to buy it, or if they were to pay up front and commit for a quarter. So yeah, I would just give them a slight discount if they pay up front, but make the month-to-month an offer. How do we draft our contracts? Relatively straightforward, guys. Use ChatGPT as your lawyer. It's going to serve you well. We've got like contract templates inside of CA, but it's actually crazy how good ChatGPT is if you just use like a contract template that you already have, or just create one. Anyways, when you use Claude versus Manus, other tools, is Claude as competent as ChatGPT 5, more competent? Yeah, I think Claude for me, I can't see a noticeable difference between Claude and ChatGPT 5. I just use it because of the connector. But like the major one, guys, like I know that they all have tests that they come out with, like Claude versus Gemini versus ChatGPT. Personally, for me, it's all about the prompt and the input. I know there is some sort of performance difference there. It's not enough for me to notice. So with the input being the most important thing, the fact that it connects to my recording software, very easy. When stacking offers, one should sell as a package or upsell. Either. Yeah, I think you can obviously position it as like, hey, let's say you do ads, right? And you can either you do the VSL for them and you do all the ads for them. That's your primary offer. But as an upsell, you can also do all of like the pre-call flows. So after somebody books a call, what the pre-call, email, SMS flows look like. That could be a separate offer, right? So you could sell them that, hey, this is, $800 a month. The primary offer is $3,000 a month. But if they take both up front, you could give them some sort of fast action bonus. Hey, if you want to do this all up front, because that's what we've seen lead to the best results, we can do it all for $3,500 as opposed to $3,800. If they haggle on price, guys, stand your ground. Now, you should know what type of money you're looking for the work that you do. That's an internal conversation that you want to have, right? So what I don't want you guys to do is to make a bad offer where you leave no room for you to work for any less. Hopefully you guys are able to make good money from the work that you do. And that's something why we talk about like guarantees and risk reversals. Because like even when people start, we don't advise they just take on free clients. Like we want you guys collecting cash very soon. That said, let's say I'm offering somebody a $3,000 a month service. I know for a fact that if they said they could only do $2,500, I would take it in the back of my head. And they're haggling on price. Maybe I could make them an offer, but I'm not just going to give them a discount unwarranted or without any strings attached. I would only give them a discount if it's in exchange for them moving quicker than they would otherwise, right? So one of the things that we do over at ListKit is called the fast action bonus, where if somebody's haggling on price, if somebody's trying to move a little bit slower than we want, yes, we can discount the setup fee from like $1,500 to $1,300 or $1,500 to $1,200, depending on the package. But we're only going to do that in exchange for them moving forward than they would otherwise, right? So the reason why it's called the fast action bonus is because I'm only giving them that discount if they move forward today, right? So there's things like that. You don't want to just roll over, give them a discount if they're haggling on the price. Cool. Dope. Christian Bonnier is king. Dan too. Appreciate it, sirs. Saphir, free deliverable. You would recommend selling e-com email marketing. Also, what offer would you want to sell if you're selling that service? Since making an ROI calculator is really hard. Yeah. So guys, e-com email marketing. That's one where like the Klaviyo audit makes a lot of sense. Genuinely, like we have a lot of guys in here that do e-com email marketing. We have coaches that have scaled e-com email marketing companies to over 6 figures a month. For some sales processes, like yeah, the perceived value is going to be like what happens on the sales call itself. And for a lot of those guys, you can show them an example of a welcome flow that made somebody $700,000 last Black Friday. Or once again, if you don't have clients, I know people are caught up on credibility. You can give them an example and a breakdown of a welcome flow that helped another company, that helped freaking Gymshark make millions of dollars last Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Now let's say they get on the call, like what will be the free asset? Well, it's typically just going to be a free Klaviyo audit that you could do for them between call 1 and call 2. Does that make sense, Saphir? Hopefully that's helpful. But it's like, yeah, the perceived value is like built into the sales call. Some offers just make more sense in like an offer in an audit nature to call sales process. Cool. All right. Would you show testimonials from other people who have used similar services to give the client an idea? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. So show testimonials, case study, social proof. Like guys, even if you don't have an ROI calculator, showing them a case study with like hard numbers can have the same effect because it's essentially just show them the potential ROI, ask if they're confident that you could get them that ROI. right? So share that, of course, share it pre-call, share it post-call, have it plastered everywhere. So yeah, definitely want to showcase testimonials. That said, if you're getting it in front of them before the call, if they saw it in the VSL, it's not necessarily something you have to build into your pitch. That's could just make things drag on a little bit more. Sorry, guys. That was actually my grandpa calling me. Said hang up on him. That's how much I care about you guys. All right, who else has questions here? If someone offers content and stack offers with ads, how do you make sure ads will deliver the promised result? Never done ads. Can AI help? Yeah, I mean, AI can help. A program like this can help, of course. But if you like don't know what the end result should be, like, so you don't even know how to position a guarantee, Mohammed, I would just have an implicit guarantee, which means, hey, if this doesn't work, I won't get paid. So obviously you could look at their current performance and you could just work on performance in excess of that. Meaning like, okay, they're at like a 2x ROAS. So you work for a 5% to 10% rev share on everything they make if they're exceeding a 2x ROAS, right? So it's things like that where you don't even know where the goalpost is, you don't know where the finish line is. That may make more sense to just have a performance-based offer, because that's like an implicit guarantee, obviously. If you're working on performance and you're not producing, you're not going to get paid. So hopefully that makes sense. So say if you're running a content offer and you have no credibility, would you have performance-based offer of say 10% to 20% per client sign? Does this make sense? Yeah, Josh, I think that makes sense. Especially because like that's a tough offer. Like it's a good offer. What is what I'm trying to say, but it's like it's not easy to get somebody to convert from content all the way to close clients. So yeah, I think that's a really good offer. What guarantee and stipulations gonna come up around in the call? I don't know. Why that wasn't phrased well enough for me to answer that. But yeah, if the stipulations are a part of your process, obviously, you know, you can show that before asking for payment. But if the stipulations are pretty basic, you can just leave it in the agreement. Like, of course, if they ask about them specifically, you can bring them up. But the stipulation should be easy to communicate in a few sentences. What if a decision maker does not read their own messages and has a VA? Also do a home service. Would a quiz assessment work for them to help identify their gaps? To a services business. I mean, services business, you just want to call those people up. They're on their phone all day. I don't think like a roofer is going to go through a quiz or assessment the same way that you want them to. So yeah, I would just pick up the phone, call them, set an appointment, do your sales call. Cool. Yeah, like if they read their, yeah, if you're talking to a VA, obviously the whole game is how can we get whoever's underneath sold to the point where I can talk to the boss, or the guy who actually pays the invoices. Another one, try to move all Jackson. I think pretty much out all of them. Do you recommend filtered leads based on how much you make revenue? Yeah, you can do lead scoring, Mohammed. It just depends on the channel, guys. Honestly, like if you're doing DM outreach or cold email, you typically want to, in the list building process, just be conscious of who you're reaching out to, so you don't have to qualify them at all. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, I would say service businesses. I don't know. We have a lot of clients who crush it with home service businesses. I wouldn't say that they're that much more difficult to sell. Do you mind going over the Fireflies Claude one more time? I want to begin improving my process. Wasn't sure. Yeah, so you can even check inside of Claude, inside of ChatGPT, like what type of connections that they have. But with Claude specifically, it's pretty straightforward. Hold on. You go in here. You just go into the settings in the bottom left. Ooh. Go to connectors, and it's just up here. You just browse connectors. You can see what other ones they have as well. Like some of these may have Otter. I'm not sure. Let's look. Otter. This one doesn't look like Otter is connected, but there's a lot of them in here. And then also ChatGPT has connectors too, guys. So like if I was to go to ChatGPT, you can see I have like my HubSpot connected. But yeah, you can go into this. Let's go to settings. System. Yeah, apps and connectors. Cool. You can see they have like Canva, Figma, Google Calendar, Google Drive. So it doesn't look like they have. The reason why I went with Claude in the first place is they have Fireflies connected. So cool. Yeah, not sure which one would have Otter, but you probably also just ask. That's one of the AI platforms, if any of them natively connect with Otter. Okay, cool. Guys, I think we're gonna wrap it there. Wait, one last thing. How much does it cost to automate cold email and sign 2 to 5 clients a month, Saphir? Obviously, Saphir depends on your offer, but yeah, of course, if you have a good offer, and let's say you're reaching out to like 10,000 people a month. I mean, if you're just running cold email on your own, I mean, a few $100 a month, it's not super expensive. You could do that for probably $1,000 or less per month. Yeah, less than 1,000 actually, probably like 500, which is pretty sick because if you got 5 clients from that, your customer acquisition cost would be 100, which is like dream come true. Another question, let's say you have a client and you do YouTube management for like 4 long-term videos, funnel build out, what's typical conversion rate for if you were to become a client? I have no idea, John, but that's a good question. What if you've never run ads before? You gotta learn. You use program like ours to teach you, obviously, but that's part of the process, just giving this information. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it there. Super appreciate all you guys. Hopefully you got value out of this. I know that we went for, this is probably the longest one yet, 2 hours, 45 minutes, but thank you so much, guys, for hanging out, listening. All you guys are legends. If you have any questions, though, let me know. We'll share this, obviously, after the recording itself and the Gamma Doc, but great session today, guys. Appreciate all the questions and your guys' attention and taking some time out of your evening to learn how to make more money. Cool.